The sky screen's image switched. Evaluating past Hokages. First Hokage, Senju Hashirama as the god of shinobi. Hashirama's personal strength is unquestionable. He personally ended the era of chaotic warfare between clans and established the one country, one village system. This achievement is irreplaceable. Konoha village streets. Bursts of cheers erupted from the crowd. The villagers raised their arms, jumping and shouting loudly. Shodai, first, Sama is invincible. Without Shodai, first, Sama, there would be no Konoha. Loyalty, Iwagakure. Inoki floated in midair, hands behind his back. When Senju Hashirama was alive, he was indeed unrivaled. Kitsuchi replied with some doubt. Father, is the first Hokage's strength really that exaggerated? Inoki glanced at him. Exaggerated? You simply cannot imagine that kind of power. But when it comes to Senju Hashirama's political ability, it was extremely poor. The cheers came to an abrupt halt. The Konoha villagers opened their mouths wide, unable to utter a single word. Konoha founding Gaara. Uchiha Madara turned his head, looking Hashirama up and down. Poor? That word is being polite. The sky screen continued to scroll. Why do we say that? Because as the strongest person in the entire ninja world at that time, the only one capable of competing with him was Madara, who was from the same village. This meant that as long as he wanted to, he could have conquered the entire ninja world at any time. Even if Hashirama didn't care about anything and let Madara handle it, they could have achieved unification. The entire ninja world went quiet. Unification. These three words struck heavily upon the hearts of all those in power. Unification? Does this sky screen mean letting Konoha annex the four great nations? Konoha founding era. Senju Tobarama stood under a tree, his brain working rapidly. Unification. Eliminate national borders. Eliminate the barriers between ninja villages and concentrate all resources together. The sky screen is right. If Big Brother and Madara joined forces, they could completely achieve it. As long as absolute centralization is established, the root cause of war will be completely eradicated. On the other side, Senju Hashirama thought about it with his simple mind. Unification? How many battles would that require? How many people would die? I established the village for the sake of peace. If I go to conquer other nations, wouldn't that just return us to the Sengoku era? Uchiha Madara looked at him with a disappointed face. Hashirama, you are too weak. The sky screen is right. If you let me handle it, I alone could take down the other four nations. Only a unified ninja world will have no conflict. However, Hashirama insisted on creating a world where all the major ninja villages lived in peace. He even distributed the tailed beast among the various ninja villages. He actually gave the strongest weapons away to other nations for free. He thought that as long as everyone's strength was balanced, they wouldn't fight. But in reality, it only cultivated more enemies. Land of lightning border forest. Senju Tobarama leaned against a tree trunk. He also could not understand his big brother's actions back then. Big brother is just too naive, giving the tailed beast to others. They will only use them against Konoha. Balance? Only the weak pursue balance. The strong only need to set the rules. If the other villages didn't have tailed beast, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to negotiate. The sky screen continued outputting. While he was alive, he could still keep things under control. Once he died, the First Ninja World War broke out immediately. And then, during the several Ninja World Wars, the number of people who died across the entire ninja world was no less than during the period of chaotic clan warfare, and Konoha also suffered deeply. Konoha Village, Hokage Building. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in his chair, silently calculating in his heart. The First Ninja World War, Teacher Tobarama died in battle. The second, the third, countless Konoha ninja fell on the battlefield. Jiraiya walked to the window, pressing his hands against the windowsill. Old man, the sky screen is right. Shodai, first. Sama's peace was merely an illusion built upon his personal martial strength. Once he was gone, the suppressed ambitions all exploded. Konoha founding Gaara. Senju Hashirama stood up, his body swaying twice. Flashes of the images previously played by the sky screen crossed his mind. A 4-year-old Uchiha Itachi walking on a battlefield littered with corpses. Those severed limbs, that blood. Was I wrong? Hashirama lowered his head, looking at his own hands. I thought that as long as everyone had power, they would fear one another, and they wouldn't fight. Uchiha Madara crossed his arms over his chest, speaking coldly. You were indeed wrong, Hashirama. Peace is not something bestowed by others, nor is it something obtained through balance. You gave them weapons, and they will only use them to kill your people. How many future generations of Konoha did your naive ideals kill? Additionally, in every diplomatic activity, Hashirama's performance was not like a qualified Kage. The screen lit up. Inside a spacious meeting room, a huge round table. The first Kages of the 5 great nations gathered together. First Kazekage, first Mizukage, first Reikage, first Tsuchikage. Senju Hashirama sat in the Hokage's seat, with Senju Tobirama standing behind him. Hashirama pressed his hands on the table, his eyes appearing as if tears were about to flow out at any moment. To be able to have the first Kages of the 5 great nations gathered together like this, holding a 5 Kage summit. I am truly... Hashirama's face suddenly turned red. He slammed his head heavily onto the table. Bang! A dull thud echoed out. Hashirama shouted loudly. Thank you very much. Dead silence. The entire ninja world was speechless. Everyone opened their mouths wide. The dignified god of shinobi actually kowtowed to the Kages of other villages? People from other nations were also stunned. He is our benefactor who gave us the tailed beast for free. He gave us weapons, and then he kowtows? In the sky screen's image, Senju Tobirama froze completely, veins bulging on his forehead. He leaned into Hashirama's ear, roaring in a suppressed voice. Big brother, what are you doing? You are the Hokage. You represent Konoha. Hashirama raised his head, 2 lines of clear tears flowing down his cheeks. But I'm just so excited. Konoha village streets. The villagers covered their faces in unison. Shodai first. Is this really our first Hokage? So embarrassing. I don't even dare to admit I'm from Konoha. Why does he have to kowtow to others? The sky screen's image shattered suddenly. A cold blue light occupied the entire screen. A man with silver hair, wearing blue battle armor, appeared in the center. His cheeks bore 3 red markings, his arms were crossed over his chest, and he stood tall. Second Hokage, Senju Tobirama. This is a very rational, pragmatic, and decisive leader. Internally, he can suppress factions. Externally, he can deter other nations. In the forests on the border of the land of lightning, young Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up at the sky screen, rubbing his hands in excitement. Master Tobirama. Senju Tobirama leaned against a tree trunk, chin slightly raised, not responding. The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. He personally founded the Konoha Military Police Force, the Ninja Academy, the Umbu, and the Chunin exam system, laying the management framework for Konoha that has lasted for hundreds of years. The Wagakure, the honest Kitsuchi, spoke bluntly. Father, we in Wagakure later copied all these systems. Anoki backhanded a slap onto Kitsuchi's back. Do I need you to tell me that? Which village in the entire shinobi world hasn't copied Senju Tobirama's homework? The text on the sky screen continued to output. During his time managing Konoha, Tobirama did not rely on personal force for deterrence, but rather on sound systems to keep the village running long-term and rapidly growing its strength. It can be said that the reason Konoha was able to maintain its strong position among the 5 great nations after Hashirama's death is due in no small part to Tobirama's excellent management. Konoha founding era. Senju Hashirama gave a thumbs up to Senju Tobirama on the sky screen. Tobirama, well done. I knew I was right to hand the village over to you. However, Senju Tobirama still had flaws, namely that he was too rigid. especially in his suppression of the Uchiha clan. While it seemed to efficiently resolve the village's hidden dangers in the short term, he also left behind a greater hidden danger. The Uchiha clan would become increasingly unable to integrate into Konoha, land of lightning border forest. Senju Tobarama looked at the sky screen, silent. Young Hiruzen Sarutobi leaned in closer. Master Tobarama, the sky screen says your suppression left behind hidden dangers. Senju Tobarama nodded. I was indeed too wary of them. But if not suppressed, this fire that is the Uchiha would eventually burn down the entire village. Starting from Tobarama's leadership, the Uchiha clan was treated differently. Over time, the Uchiha would inevitably harbor resentment. In contrast, the obedient Hyuga clan is far superior to the Uchiha in both the village's geography and prestige. Konoha Year 60. Hyuga clan grounds. The elders below stroked their beards and nodded one after another. Our Hyuga clan has always prioritized the big picture. Those thorns from the Uchiha deserve their fate of extermination. Today, the #1 clan in Konoha is none other than our Hyuga. The sky screen text changed. So this legacy issue eventually exploded during the 3rd Hokage's time. However, overall, Tobarama was still a very excellent leader. The image switched. 3rd Hokage. Hiruzen Sarutobi Hokage building. Hiruzen Sarutobi saw his name appear, his hand trembling involuntarily. Is it my turn again? Jiraiya leaned against the wall, yawning. Old man, haven't you been scolded enough already? Do you want to embarrass yourself again? Hiruzen Sarutobi ignored him. I have dedicated my life to Konoha. The sky screen should at least have a fair word to say. The text on the sky screen flickered. Never mind, skipping this directly. It was already evaluated before. Inside the Hokage office, Jiraiya froze for a second, then burst into wild laughter. Ha ha ha! He clutched his stomach, laughing until he couldn't stand straight, pointing at Hiruzen Sarutobi. Old man, you were skipped. Skipped directly. The sky screen is too lazy to even scold you. Hiruzen Sarutobi's face flushed red. What is this? I've been in power for so many years. Is there not even a summary for me? The sky screen's image lit up. A line of large text appeared in the very center. System updating. People across the entire shinobi world stopped what they were doing. System updating? What does this mean? The sky screen can even update? Accompanied by a slight buzzing sound. On the right side of the screen, semi-transparent area suddenly extended outward. Update complete bullet comment area enabled all ninja only need to move their intent to speak in the bullet comment area. Cross-timeline communication function is now online. Senju Hashirama. How does this thing work? Can my inner thoughts really appear up there? People across the entire shinobi world stared at these words that had suddenly appeared. Some tried to mutter silently in their minds. 4th Reikage A. Cross-timeline communication? This thing can talk to the dead. Anoki. Interesting. The text on the sky screen occupied the main screen once again. 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze's outstanding personal strength, excellent person, high IQ, high prestige. But his time in power was too short. He died before he could really stretch his legs. The barrage area started scrolling instantly. Jiraiya, Minato, what a pity. 4th Reikage A. Minato Namikaze, truly a difficult opponent. Senju Tobarama. 4th Hokage? This kid's judgment isn't very good. Year 48 of Konoha. Hokage office. Minato looked at the constantly refreshing text on the barrage and reached up to scratch his short golden hair. Uzumaki Naruto. 2nd Hokage, you are not allowed to talk about my dad like that. Senju Hashirama. Tobarama. Be polite to the juniors. Senju Tobarama. Brother, I am just stating facts. Minato gave a dry laugh and did not respond on the barrage. The text on the sky screen continued to change. However, from Minato's gentle yet firm personality, it can be inferred that if he were still here, he would have been able to lead Konoha's development very well. Moreover, his ability to handle government affairs was also excellent. Every Hokage after him has been troubled by complex administrative work. But Minato was able to remain leisurely for most of his workday, which is truly worthy of the title of the fastest man. Hiruzen Sarutobi. Government affairs are indeed complex. I review documents until late at night, every day, and rarely even return home. Tsunade. Old man, you're just dragging your feet. Senju Hashirama. Is reviewing documents that hard? I remember it being quite simple. Senju Tobarama. Brother, you still have the nerve to say that. When was the time you didn't just dump it on me? Jiraiya. Ahem, Minato. Fastest isn't really a good term. Year 48 of Konoha. Kushina didn't look different. After all, they were an old married couple. What is Jiraiya-sensei talking about? Minato smiled and shook his head. That's just how sensei is. The text on the sky screen paused for a few seconds, then threw out new content. However, there are still debates about Minato. During the Nine-Tailed Night, as the village's strongest combat power and highest leader, he shouldn't have sacrificed himself so rashly. Year 48 of Konoha. Minato looked at the barrage and remained silent. Kushina pulled on Minato's sleeve and leaned against him. Minato, they say you died for love. Minato turned around and placed his hands on Kushina's shoulders. Given the situation at the time, the future me had no choice. Kushina lowered her head, tears swirling in her eyes. But if you die, what will happen to Naruto? Minato pulled Kushina into his arms. Now we know the future in advance. I won't let Obito's plan succeed. I will survive and protect you and Naruto. The image on the sky screen switched, and the text changed to new content. Fifth Hokage Tsunade, when she took over, Konoha could be said to be a complete mess. The village was destroyed, the third Hokage died in battle, and many elite ninjas also died. Konoha at this time could be said to be extremely weak. Seeing this, the originally drunken Tsunade suddenly woke up. Tsunade, the old man died in battle? The village was destroyed? When does this happen? Hiruzen Sarutobi, I died in battle. Well, I suppose at a fitting end. Senju Hashirama, little Tsunade became Hokage? Ha ha ha, my granddaughter has made something of herself. Wait, no. Senju Tobarama, little Tsunade? Is she capable? Uchiha Madara, Hashirama, with your granddaughter as Hokage, Konoha isn't far from ruin. Senju Hashirama. The text on the sky screen continued to jump. However, after she took over, the medical system, logistics, and morale recovery were all done very well, and she quickly stabilized the foundation. Moreover, her personality is relatively strong, and the two elders of Konoha are also very afraid of this Katsuyu princess. But besides that, looking at her performance as Hokage, her shortcomings are also very obvious. Madarumi, although her ability isn't great, Lady Tsunade has very strong connections. Ao, her grandfather was the first and second, and her master was the third. Kuratsuchi, so you need connections to be Hokage. Deidara, isn't this just relying on your dad and grandfather? Training ground. Naruto pointed at the sky screen. Kakashi-sensei, do you really need connections to be Hokage? Kakashi thought carefully, then replied. Naruto, the first and second were brothers. The third was the second's disciple. The fourth was the third's grand disciple. And the fifth is the granddaughter of the first and second, and the third's disciple. Naruto froze in place. He had never thought that you needed connections to be Hokage. What about me? Sasuke said coldly. Your dad was the fourth Hokage. Naruto opened his mouth wide. So I also have connections. Sakura muttered on the side. Stupid Naruto. You become Hokage through strength. First, Tsunade's emotional volatility is quite high. As the leader of Konoha, one should maintain composure at all times. For instance, when Pain invaded Konoha, he originally only came looking for the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. However, because she didn't stay calm and asked one too many questions, she precisely provoked the enemy, which directly resulted in Konoha being razed to the ground. The sky screen scene cuts in. In Konoha village, Pain stands with his back to Tsunade and the others, clearly preparing to leave. Such superficial indulgence in peace. Those who kill will eventually be killed. Hatred will connect the two. War is accompanied by the death, injury, and suffering of both sides. Pain has not finished speaking. Tsunade suddenly waves her hand to interrupt, shouting aloud. We of the 5 great nations have suffered the same pain. Do not use excuses to continue doing this kind of thing. Pain pauses for a second, then turns his head, his expression very serious. Meanwhile, not far away, Nagato recalls the scene of his parents being killed by Konoha ninja. Suddenly, he is red-hot with rage. He does not respond again, his body continuing to ascend. Almighty, 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 Shinra, Tensei. An invisible repulsive force descends from the sky, slamming hard into the ground of Konoha village. A visible shockwave expands in all directions. Houses along the way disintegrate instantly, bricks and stones splatter, and wooden beams snap. The ground in front of the Hokage rock caves in over a large area. Shops on the street are uprooted, with broken glass and roof tiles dancing in the air. The entire Konoha village is completely leveled within a few seconds, leaving only a bottomless crater. The entire shinobi world falls into dead silence. Iwagakure. Inoki's legs feel a bit weak. One move, Inoki swallows hard, his finger pointing at the sky screen, trembling incessantly. A single move leveled an entire village. Konoha village streets. Villagers' legs tremble, and they collapse to the ground one after another. The village is gone. Just because Lady Tsunade talked back. Couldn't she have said less? The others were just here for the nine-tailed. Why did she have to provoke them? Our lives are all gone because of her 2 sentences. Land of Rain. Akatsuki Organization Base. Everyone swallows hard. Leader, is he really this fierce? The text on the sky screen continues to scroll. Without knowing the specific intelligence of the enemy, sometimes any impulsive behavior is fatal. At the same time, her work is relatively lazy. Tsunade dislikes handling administrative affairs very much. The chat area begins to scroll. Inoki. It's a miracle that Konoha can still hold on with this woman as Hokage. 4th Raikage, just a Hokage who got the position through connections. She can't even control the most basic emotions. Tsunade stares at the chat, her teeth grinding, but she cannot refute a single word. The sky screen text scrolls, and a new title occupies the light screen. 6th Hokage, Kakashi Hitaki Konoha, Training Ground. Naruto turns his head to stare at the person next to him. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto points at the sky screen. You became Hokage. Sasuke turns his head, looking Kakashi up and down. The guy who reads those trashy books every day can be Hokage. Kakashi is also stunned, pointing his index finger back at his own nose. Me? The sky screen text continues to output. Kakashi took over the mess after the 4th Shinobi World War ended. Iwagakure. Inoki strokes his beard. 4th Shinobi World War? Konoha must have been hollowed out by then. I wonder if this copy ninja can stabilize the situation. The sky screen scene lights up. Kakashi, wearing the Hokage Heiori, stands in front of the desk, constantly flipping through scrolls on the table. After taking over the village, he quickly restored order in Konoha, comforted the populace, and rebuilt the village. During his administration, Kakashi accomplished key tasks: post-war reconstruction, technological transformation, and the establishment of diplomacy. The scene switches constantly. Strips of steel tracks are laid on the land of Konoha. A huge lightning train whistles past, white steam spraying from the roof, the carriages filled with passengers. Construction of the lightning train railway system. The scene turns again. The emblems of the 5 great nations hang in front of a huge building. Ninja students from various villages, wearing different attires, walk in the hallways of the same school. Facilitated the establishment of the 5 Kage Joint Academy. The scene cuts into a laboratory. Several researchers are testing a metal device strapped to an arm. A genin inserts a miniature scroll into the device's slot and presses a button. A high-level water release ninjutsu sprays directly from the front of the device, shattering the target ahead. Approve the research and development of scientific ninja tools. Under Kakashi's leadership, Konoha leapt from the ruins of the ninja war to become the technology center of the 5 great nations. Hidden Mist Village. Meitarumi stands up, hands resting on the desk. No need for hand signs. No need to refine chakra. Even a genin can release high-level ninjutsu. Once these scientific ninja tools are mass-produced, the combat power of Konoha's lower-level ninja will undergo a qualitative leap. The traditional ninja training system will be completely overturned. Even Sunagekyu's puppet technique has begun to be improved for civilian use. Sunagekyu. Granny Chiyo stands up abruptly. Our puppet technique for civilian use. She watches the scene where several puppets without weapons are moving heavy timber, assisting workers in building houses. This is simply a waste of talent. Puppet technique is meant for killing. Ebizo sits nearby, sighing. Sister, times have changed. The chat area scrolls frantically. Anoki, this Kakashi's administrative ability is clearly more than a level above Tsunade's. Meitarumi, being able to facilitate the 5 great nations' joint schooling, this Kakashi's diplomatic skills are indeed impressive. Kuratsuchi, this lightning train looks so convenient. Can we build one in Iwagakure too? Konoha village streets. The villagers burst into thunderous cheers. Lord Kakashi is amazing. This is what you call a Hokage, focusing on construction, development, and letting us live good lives. Much better than that 5th generation who only knew how to talk back and cause trouble. Long live Lord Kakashi. Training ground. Kakashi looks at the scene on the sky screen, technological transformation, post-war reconstruction. He recalls his usual daily routine, compares it to the political achievements on the sky screen, and shakes his head. These things, not to mention others, even he dares not imagine how he will manage to achieve these in the future. The text on the sky screen changed once again. During Kakashi's tenure, he tacitly allowed Shikamaru to transform the Nara clan's medicinal herb cultivation techniques into a pharmaceutical industry. This industry expanded rapidly and later became a pillar of Konoha's economy. Inside the Nara clan compound, Shikaku picked up his teacup, his hand pausing in midair. Chozo leaned forward and slapped his thigh, producing a crisp sound. Shikaku, your Nara clan is going to make a fortune in the future. A pharmaceutical industry, a pillar of the economy. Shikaku set down his teacup and scratched his hair. That is indeed a good business. Inoichi Yamanaka sat nearby, picking up the teapot to pour water for Shikaku. Using secret techniques for civilian use, that takes a lot of guts. But if it can make money for the village, it can be considered a new path forward. The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. Secondly, supporting Kim and Airman Electronics in commercializing lightning release chakra, which gave birth to a power grid covering the entire village. Thirdly, establishing an Institute of Technology while retaining the Ninja Academy. Providing legal research channels for Orochimaru's scientific research team. The entire shinobi world fell into a dead silence. The Hokage building. Jiraiya stared at the large characters on the sky screen, taking a long time to utter a single sentence. Has Kakashi lost his mind? He actually let Orochimaru return to the village and gave him legal research channels. Odogekure Underground Base. Orochimaru stopped the test tube in his hand. He extended his long tongue and licked his upper lip. Legal research channels. Kakashi, what a pragmatic Hokage. He is much more flexible than Hiruzen Sarutobi. Scientific progress inherently requires a tolerant environment. The comments section scrolled wildly. Anoki, are all the high-ranking officials in Konoha crazy? They dare to accept a dangerous person like Orochimaru. Fourth Reikage A. Konoha is doomed. A dignified Hokage is actually colluding with a rogue ninja. Konoha village streets. The villagers pointed at the sky screen and shouted curses. How could Lord Kakashi let Orochimaru come back? Orochimaru kidnapped so many of our children. He must die. Has the Konoha leadership been controlled by Orochimaru? On the training ground, Kakashi supported his forehead with one hand. He stared at the sky screen, his mind in complete chaos. Legalizing Orochimaru? This is simply trampling Konoha's bottom line into the dirt. How much pressure must his future self have been under to dare to make such a decision? The text on the sky screen flickered, giving a direct response. These pragmatic policies allowed ordinary people in Konoha to enjoy the benefits of ninjutsu for the first time. For example, low-cost affordable housing quickly built using Earth Release. For example, household appliances powered by lightning release, which changed the lifestyle of civilians. The scene cut in. Several Earth Release ninjas performed hand seals and pressed their hands to the ground. Rows of sturdy stone buildings rose from ground. Civilians queuing nearby held their keys, moving into their new homes with great joy. The camera shifted again. In a bright room, electric lights dispelled the darkness. A housewife pressed a button, and the washing machine began to operate automatically. The text on the sky screen continued to jump. During Kakashi's tenure, he enabled Konoha to complete basic industrialization in just 15 short years. This completely broke the mercenary ninja system that had existed in the ninja world for 1,000 years. It meant that ninjas no longer had to rely solely on missions for a living. A large number of ninjas transitioned into workers, technicians, and merchants, allowing them to live more safely. The ninja world fell silent once again. The previous shouting and cursing disappeared. Konoha village streets. A retired genin with a missing arm stood in the crowd, staring at the images on the sky screen, tears streaming from his eyes. No need to take missions. No need to lick blood off the edge of a blade to survive. And there's even affordable housing to live in. He squatted on the ground, wailing loudly. The surrounding civilians also fell silent. They worked from dawn till dusk every day just to earn meager rations. Ninja battles were far removed from them, but the suffering of war weighed mostly on them. If ninjutsu could be used to build houses and make life convenient, who would care if Orochimaru was a rogue ninja? Konoha Jinine, I don't want to risk my life on the front lines anymore. I want to become a technician. Iwagakure Chunin B. Is Konoha's future really that good? Can we in Iwagakure also engage in industrialization? Sunagakure Civilian C. I envy the people of Konoha. Why wasn't I born in that era? Hidden Mist Rogue Ninja D. No war. A safe way to live. Isn't this the ideal world? During the founding period of Konoha, Senju Hashirama stared blankly at the sky screen. No need to fight wars. Ninjas can be workers. They can be merchants. Ninjutsu used to build houses, used to make life convenient. Madara, did you see that? This is true peace. As the section on the 6th Hokage, Kakashi, ended, new text appeared, 7th Hokage, Uzumaki Naruto. Training ground. Naruto leaped up in excitement on the spot. It's my turn. It's my turn. After Kakashi-sensei, it's me. Sasuke glanced at him and turned his head away. Loser, look how smug you are just because you're going to be Hokage. Naruto leaned in towards Sasuke and patted his chest. Sasuke, this is called strength. I'm going to be the Hokage in the future. If you're nice to me, I'll appoint you as the Deputy Hokage. The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. The 7th Hokage's prestige is immense, even rivaling that of the 1st Hokage, Senju Hashirama, from back in the day. Iwagakure. Inoki's beard on his chin twitched twice. Rivaling Senju Hashirama? What earth-shattering feat did this yellow-haired brat accomplish? Senju Hashirama pacified the chaotic world. How does a junior like him deserve such prestige? The text on the sky screen provided an explanation. He possesses immense charisma, and his philosophy of peace is also top tier. He is the spiritual symbol of the entire Konoha and even the entire ninja world. The comment section scrolled wildly. Inoki, a spiritual symbol? What exactly did this brat do? 4th Raikage, relying on charisma to become a spiritual symbol? Since when did the ninja world start valuing temperament? Meitarumi, rivaling the prestige of the 1st Hokage, this evaluation is a bit too exaggerated. Konoha villager, a demon fox-born evil, capable of such achievements? Konoha year 48. The Hokage office. Minato Namikaze looked at the words on the sky screen, his lips curling into a sunny smile. He hugged Uzumaki Kushina tightly. Kushina, did you see that? Naruto did it. Not only did he become Hokage, but he also gained everyone's recognition. Kushina's eyes turned red, and she nodded vigorously. However, Uzumaki Naruto remained an idealist at heart. While he was open-minded and could get along with everyone in the village, he also lacked the airs of a Hokage. But it was precisely these details that reflected his inability to be an excellent Hokage. On the screen, Uzumaki Naruto was performing ninjutsu for the kids at the academy. The scene shifted, and Uzumaki Naruto was completely buried by the mountain of documents in the Hokage office. He scratched his head in frustration. Despite being exhausted, he still hadn't managed to get through much of the paperwork. First of all, his administrative, institutional, and strategic planning skills were practically zero. He did things based on intuition and passion, and was not adept at complex governance. In many areas, he relied entirely on Shikamaru to help him handle actual government affairs. His administrative ability was far inferior to his combat prowess. During the founding period of Konoha, Uchiha Madara looked at Uzumaki Naruto and felt a sense of familiarity. Hashirama, this brat with the yellow hair is exactly like you. Senju Hashirama shook his head, disagreeing with this assessment. I worked very hard on my paperwork, too. The barrage area was scrolling frantically. Senju Tobarama, this brat is practically a carbon copy of my older brother. Fourth Reikage, relying on passion to be Hokage? Konoha's standards for choosing a leader are becoming increasingly absurd. Anoki, isn't this just another version of Senju Hashirama? Even the flaws in their governance are exactly the same. Konoha training ground. Sasuke turned his head and coldly spat out a few words. Loser, you'll still be a failure even if you become Hokage. Uzumaki Naruto jumped up and shouted, I'm not a failure. My combat prowess is very strong. Things like paperwork can just be left to Shikamaru. Sakura punched Uzumaki Naruto on the top of his head. Uzumaki Naruto covered his head and crouched on the ground. Idiot, the Hokage is supposed to manage the village. If you don't manage anything, what will happen to the village? The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. Furthermore, during his tenure, due to the overly saintly open peace policy he advocated, he relaxed the supervision and bottom-line constraints on other villages. This indirectly emboldened Anoki of a Wagakure to create artificial humans. In the end, it backfired, almost causing a disaster in the ninja world. The screen lit up. Inside an underground laboratory, countless incubation tanks were lined up neatly. Anoki hovered in midair, directing several researchers to inject green liquid into the tanks. Inside the tanks, pale human models were taking shape. The scene shifted again. Several strange-looking artificial humans rushed out of the laboratory, wreaking havoc within a Wagakure, with explosions and flames shooting into the sky. Hiruzen Sarutobi, Anoki, you old geezer, you actually lived until the era of the 7th Hokage? Fourth Reikage, artificial humans? What kind of twisted things is a Wagakure researching behind everyone's backs? Is this your so-called peace? The Wagakure. Kitsuchi's mouth hung open, his chin nearly hitting the floor. Father, you lived to the era when Uzumaki Naruto became Hokage, and you created artificial humans? Anoki floated in midair, his body swaying violently. Kitsuchi rushed forward to steady him. Anoki pushed Kitsuchi away and stood straight. He clasped his hands behind his back, desperately trying to mask the shock in his heart. I lived for that long. Artificial humans. What kind of forbidden jutsu is that? Why would I ever touch something like that? Kuratsuchi stood to the side and loudly questioned him. Old man, you actually conducted such dangerous experiments behind our backs, and you almost destroyed the village. Anoki's face flushed red as he desperately tried to defend himself. Nonsense. I don't know anything about artificial humans right now. Afterward, he replied in the barrage area. Anoki, I know nothing about any artificial humans. This is a future event and has nothing to do with the current Awagakure, Odogakure underground base. Orochimaru stopped what he was doing. He licked his upper lip with his long tongue. 2 lines of clear tears slid down his pale cheeks. He opened his arms, letting the tears fall. Anoki, old man, we are best friends. The image on the sky screen cut away, and a new segment of text occupied the light curtain. 7.5 Th Hokage. Nara Shikamaru. After Uzumaki Naruto became Hokage, Shikamaru became his advisor. Many of the village's affairs were handled by Shikamaru for Uzumaki Naruto. As time passed, Shikamaru's personality also changed. Shikamaru's way of handling things became more like Tobirama during the first Hokage's era. After Uzumaki Naruto went missing, Shikamaru served as the acting Hokage. Konoha village on the grass. Young Shikamaru lay on the ground, hands behind his head, with a blade of grass in his mouth. Seeing the text on the sky screen, the blade of grass fell onto his face. What a drag. Being an advisor for Uzumaki Naruto is one thing, but I also have to handle his government affairs. And in the end, I even have to be the acting Hokage. I don't want to do such troublesome things. Nara clan residence. Akimichi Choza slapped Shikaku on the thigh. Shikaku, your son became Hokage. The 7.5 Th Hokage. That's still a Hokage. Shikaku grimaced in pain, rubbing his thigh. What kind of Hokage is that? Being an advisor to an unreliable Hokage and having to clean up after him. That's 100 times more troublesome than just being Hokage directly. Afterward, he went over the information in his mind again, and his heart was stirred with shock. Uzumaki Naruto went missing? That 7th Hokage, whose strength approached that of the first, actually went missing? Anoki, is there no one left in Konoha that they actually have an advisor filling in? 4th Reikage, hey, the 7th Hokage is missing, and Konoha can't even find someone capable of fighting, having to rely on someone from the Nara clan to be the acting Hokage? Madarumi, what a twist of events. However, to be able to make the Hokage go missing, just how strong is this enemy? Konoha really is plagued by disasters. And speaking of Shikamaru, this part cannot be left out. Under the condition that everyone's memories were tampered with by a god technique, your uncle Shikamaru managed to deduce that Boruto is actually Naruto's son. Seeing this, everyone was stunned for a moment. 4th Reikage, a god technique? Modifying everyone's memories? What kind of hellish thing is this? Anoki, I have seen plenty of Jinjutsu, but a technique that modifies the memories of the entire shinobi world is simply absurd. The sky screen provided an explanation at the right moment. God technique, a power that surpasses all ninjutsu and senjutsu in the ninja world. Under the influence of the God technique, the common sense of the entire world was completely overturned. In everyone's memories, Kawaki is Naruto's biological son, and Boruto has become a rogue ninja who murdered the 7th Hokage, wanted by the entire shinobi world. Konoha village streets. The villagers stood frozen in place, with only the rustling of wind through the leaves surrounding them. The demon fox's son became a rogue ninja? Who is Kawaki? I've never heard of that name. Modifying the memories of the entire shinobi world, can we not even trust what's in our own brains anymore? The image lit up. Konoha village high-level meeting room. Udatain Kaharu and Hamura Mitokado sat on one side of the long table, both with silver hair, the skin on their faces sagging. Shikamaru, wearing the Hokage Heiori, sat in the main seat, resting his chin on one hand. Shikamaru, is there still no clue about the whereabouts of that rogue ninja, Boruto? Udatain Koharu tapped on the table. He murdered the 7th. This blood debt must be repaid in blood. The Umbu must increase their search efforts. Hamura Mitokado echoed from the side, his fingers tapping on the table surface. Not just searching. If you encounter resistance, you can kill on the spot. Shikamaru lowered his eyelids, his gaze falling on the documents on the table. The Umbu is already searching with all its might. The ninja world is so big, it takes time to find one person. Uchiha Koharu snorted coldly. You are always so perfunctory. Have you really put any heart into dealing with a murderer who killed Naruto? Also, you have been sitting in the position of acting Hokage for 3 years. Originally, you said you would only act for 3 years. Now that the time is up, you should hurry up and officially take office as the Hokage. The village cannot be without an official leader forever. Shikamaru raised his head, rubbing his chin twice with his fingers. There is no rush for taking office. The primary task now is to maintain the stability of the village. Other matters can be put aside for now. Hamura Midokado stood up abruptly, the chair sliding backward, making a harsh friction sound. Norus, you are the Hokage. This is your responsibility. The Shikamaru in the image did not reply. He stood up, pushed open the door of the meeting room, and walked out. The scene switched. Inside the Hokage office, Shikamaru leaned against the back of the wide chair, biting a lit cigarette in his mouth. White smoke swirled in midair. The door was pushed open. Ino walked in holding a stack of old scrolls and tossed them onto the desk. Shikamaru, I found the old materials you wanted. Ino patted the dust off the scrolls, her gaze sweeping across Shikamaru's face. These are all abandoned archives from decades ago. They have no value at all. Why do you suddenly want these things? Shikamaru exhaled a smoke ring, his gaze fixed on the ceiling. Just leave them there. Ino stood in place, not leaving immediately. As a partner for many years, she was more than familiar with Shikamaru's way of doing things. Sending the materials was just a cover. With Shikamaru looking like this, it was definitely not to read any old materials. Ino turned and walked out of the office, closing the door behind her. In the corridor, Ino leaned against the wall and formed hand seals with both hands. Chakra established a mental link in her mind. Shikamaru, I know your materials are just an excuse. Ino's voice rang out in Shikamaru's mind. What exactly do you want to do? Inside the office, Shikamaru took the cigarette out of his mouth and crushed the butt in the ashtray. Ino, help me connect to someone. I want to talk to him alone, without being monitored by anyone. Ino, outside the corridor, stiffened. Connect alone? This is against regulations. You are the acting Hokage. All external communications must be recorded by the Umbu. Besides, who do you want to contact? Shikamaru crossed his fingers and placed them on the desk. Someone who cannot be mentioned openly. Ino, right now. There's no one else I can entrust with this. Ino lowered her hands from the seals, her gaze fixed on the wall opposite her. I understand. Ino formed the seals again, and the chakra fluctuations spread along the mental network. I will help you connect right away. Anoki, this little girl from the Yamanaka clan is bold enough. The acting Hokage is taking the lead in breaking the rules, and she actually follows along without hesitation. Fourth Reikage, is this the Konoha Ino, Shika, Cho? This kind of unconditional trust is truly rare. Madarumi, no one else to entrust. Was the acting Hokage situation at that time so dire that he couldn't even trust the Umbu and high-level officials in the village? Konoha Village, Nara clan grounds. Shikaku picked up his teacup and blew on the floating tea leaves. This kid has grown up. Inoichi Yamanaka sat beside him and laughed out loud. That girl Ino is the same. She usually looks boisterous, but at critical moments, she doesn't falter at all. The bond of Ino, Shika, Cho will not be broken no matter which generation it reaches. Akimichi Choza stuffed a handful of potato chips into his mouth and echoed vaguely. That's right, that's right. The scene switched again. Boruto dodged Mitsuki's pursuit and flew at high speed in the air. His right eye was tightly closed, there were several scars on his face, and his cloak was flapping in the wind. A wave of chakra suddenly came from his mind. Boruto, can you hear me? Shikamaru's voice rang out in Boruto's mind. Boruto's figure paused for a moment in midair. You actually took the initiative to contact me? What does the acting Hokage of Konoha want with a rogue ninja? Inside the Hokage office, Boruto, Shikamaru spoke clearly without any hesitation. Actually, you're Uzumaki Baruto, right? Baruto hung in midair, his face full of astonishment. Ino in the corridor maintained the hand-seal posture. Her whole body stiffened, her mind blank. The entire shinobi world was deathly silent. Ninjas and civilians from all villages, everyone staring at the sky screen, were all frozen in place by this sentence. The bullet screen area experienced a brief vacuum, then refreshed explosively. Senju Tobarama. How did he deduce that? Fourth Reikage, the memories of the entire shinobi world have been modified, and even common sense has been overturned. On what basis could he reach this conclusion? Anoki. How exactly is this kid's brain wired? Even a god technique cannot cover up his logic. The sky screen switched, and new text appeared. You are an ordinary villager in Konoha village in this world. There's a power called the will of domination. Everyone calls it a domineering power. The entire shinobi world fell into a brief stillness. Deidara, what the hell? Why is it back to the Konoha villagers? Reikage A, the will of domination? These ants who don't even have chakra actually came up with some kind of will? Anoki, I've lived for so many years, and I've only ever heard of the will of fire. What the hell is this will of domination? On the streets of Konoha village, the villagers were speechless. Here we go again. Will this sky screen ever stop? We're just ordinary civilians. Why do you keep targeting us? The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. This power has been passed down from generation to generation, and its origins can be traced back to a long time ago. On a dark and windy night, an alien suddenly descended to Earth. I heard she is the progenitor of chakra and could destroy a country with a wave of her hand. So, Opie, then your ancestors must have bullied her hard, Awagakure. Anoki pondered for a moment. An alien? The progenitor of chakra? Destroy a country with a wave of her hand? A monster of that level, and the ancestors of the Konoha villagers actually dared to bully her. Land of Rain, Akatsuki organization stronghold. Haydn couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ha ha, what is the progenitor of chakra? In front of the Konoha villagers' will of domination, even gods have to take a couple of slaps. The text on the sky screen continued to roll. To this day, this power has finally reached your hands. When you were young, you bullied Kushina, Might Due and Might Guy, Sakumo Hataki, Uchiha Itachi, Obito, Naruto, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke, Rock Lee, Choji. Even after that demon fox named Naruto became a hero, you still didn't give up the will of domination. Now you are walking on the street and see the 7th Hokage's 2 children. In order to practice the will of domination, you didn't hesitate at all and immediately started bullying Himawari Uzumaki at the training ground. Naruto was stunned in place. Himawari? My daughter? They actually won't even spare my daughter. I'm a 7th Hokage. Naruto looked up and shouted at the sky screen. You bastards! It's one thing to come after me, but why bully Himawari? Konoha village streets. The villagers who were just reflecting were completely confused. Even they couldn't understand the behavior described by the sky screen. Have the future villagers gone mad? The 7th Hokage's child, the child of the hero who saved the whole village. We actually went and bullied her. The 7th Hokage's daughter, the goddess of the Hyuga clan, I heard she also has a demon fox inside her. Then I must bully her, Meitorumi. Wait, the 7th Hokage's daughter. Why is she also the goddess of the Hyuga clan? Anoki. The 7th Hokage is Naruto, the goddess of the Hyuga clan. Is this kid's wife from the Hyuga clan? Reikage. The sky screen mentioned it before that Hinata, Kuratsuchi, Naruto, and Hinata got married. Deidara. Good grief, this Ninetales Jinchuriki ran off with the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan? At the training ground, Naruto froze for a moment. Then a look of bewilderment appeared on his face. Hinata. I marry Hinata in the future. Team 8 training grounds. Hinata looked at the scrolling barrage on the sky screen, her cheeks instantly turning bright red, and steam rising from the top of her head. I and Naruto-kun. Her legs went weak, and she fell straight backward. Kurinai hurriedly reached out to catch Hinata and held her in her arms. This girl Hinata, she just passed out. This time, The sky screen directly displayed a scene. After scolding Himawari Uzumaki, that villager turned his head slowly. His gaze landed on Kawaki. The eyes that were originally peaceful suddenly sank, his expression as gloomy as stagnant water. "You guy." The villager spoke, his voice not loud, yet it caused the entire scene to quiet down. "You are not the son of the 7th Hokage, right?" The entire shinobi world fell into dead silence. Fourth Reikage, what? Anoki, what does this guy know? Mei Terumi, didn't the divine technique rewrite the memories of the entire shinobi world? How is he able to distinguish it? Deidara, no way, a civilian who doesn't even have chakra can actually break a divine technique. Haiden, I've lived for so long, and this is the first time I've seen something so outrageous. Inside the sky screen scene, Kawaki's expression sank. His gaze stared straight at that villager. "Why would you say that?" Kawaki spoke, his voice steady, without any flaws. "I'm the son of the 7th Hokage. This is a fact known to the entire shinobi world." The villager smiled with a crooked mouth. That smile had appeared countless times on the streets of Konoha village. When bullying Naruto, when isolating the Uchiha, when throwing stones at Hinata. Exactly the same. Kawaki. The villager enunciated Kawaki's name. "Although the people around me, as well as my own memories, are telling me that you are indeed the son of the 7th Hokage." He paused, raised his finger, and tapped his own chest. "But my soul denies this point." The entire shinobi world fell into dead silence again. The refresh rate of the bullet screen area slowed down. Everyone was staring at that line of text. The soul denies it? Hashirama. Soul? Can this thing be used as evidence? Uchihamadara. Playing mysteries. Orochimaru. Soul. This civilian has touched upon a very interesting field. Yakushi Kabuto. Memories can be rewritten, but the marks at the soul level are indeed not that easy to erase. Inside the sky screen scene, the villager continued to speak. "In my memories, there are memories of bullying you. Every detail is very clear. The time, the place, your expression at that time, the clothes you were wearing. But," the villager raised his hand and pointed to his own temple. "I have no desire to bully you." Kawaki's brows furrowed slightly. The villager did not give him a chance to speak and continued. "You are simply not the son of the 7th Hokage. Compared to you," the villager's gaze became sharp, and the arc of his mouth grew wider. "I am actually full of thoughts of bullying that rogue ninja, that brat named Otsutsuki Baruto. So, I am certain, he is the true son of the 7th Hokage. Fourth Reikage. Anoki, I have lived for so many years, and this is the first time I have seen someone use this kind of logical reasoning. Mei Terumi, memories can be rewritten, thoughts can be distorted, but the desire to bully cannot? Karatsuchi, no, what kind of principle is this? Why is the desire to bully more reliable than memories? Deidara, let me digest this. He doesn't want to bully this person, so this person is not the son of the 7th Hokage. He wants to bully that person, so that person must be Kakuzu. Although it's outrageous, the conclusion seems to be correct. Konoha year 60 at the training ground. Naruto opened his mouth wide, his jaw almost dropping to the ground. No way. How did he deduce that? He turned his head to look at Sasuke, his face full of, "Did you understand that?" Sasuke had his hands in his pockets, expressionless, but the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, using the desire to bully to distinguish truth from falsehood. Sasuke paused, as if organizing his thoughts. This is very Konoha. Naruto was stunned for a moment, then nodded frantically. Yes, yes, yes. This is the style of Konoha. I just felt like something was wrong, but now that you say it, I feel like it's right. That's exactly it. Text appeared at the bottom of the screen. Memories can be rewritten, thoughts can be distorted. When cognition cannot touch the truth, only the will of bullying will lead you to break through the encirclement. Seeing this, everyone couldn't hold it in anymore. Tobarama, I've spent my whole life researching ninjutsu, only to be outperformed by a civilian's bullying intuition. Hashirama, Tobarama, don't say that. This shows that the villagers in our village have a very Hashirama. Forget it, I can't make this up anymore. Mei Terumi, using the desire to bully to distinguish the truth. This is quite explosive, even for the entire shinobi world. I kind of understand why Konoha can produce so many strong people. How could the will of a ninja who grew up in such an environment not be firm? Land of Rain, Akatsuki Organization Stronghold. Kisame Hashigaki felt extremely speechless after finishing, a complex expression appearing on his face. If one day, the entire shinobi world falls into a deep sleep under a genjutsu, will this group of Konoha villagers still be looking for someone to bully in their dreams? The stronghold was silent for a moment. Everyone looked at Kisame Hashigaki. Question mark. The image on the sky screen shifted, showing Orochimaru stood on the roof of the Hokage building. As the sound four formed hand seals, the four violet flames formation soared into the sky, its purple flames sealing off the entire rooftop. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Tsurutobi, shed his Hokage robes, standing inside the barrier clad in his black battle gear. The camera zoomed out, revealing that throughout the entire Konoha village, sounds of explosions and battle cries echoed everywhere. Yet the area near the rooftop was completely empty, with not a single Konoha ninja coming to assist. Text began to appear on the sky screen. During Orochimaru's invasion of Konoha village, the behavior of all Konoha village ninjas was incredibly bizarre. During the battle between Orochimaru and the third Hokage, despite Konoha village being teeming with top-tier experts, not a single person came to help. Many of Konoha village's top experts were fully capable of breaking the four violet flames formation, yet not a single one tried to break it. Mei Terumi, his own student, came back to kill him, and the whole village is just watching the show. Is the third Hokage's popularity really this bad? More text continued to appear on the sky screen. According to the Umbu's records, the battle between Orochimaru and the third Hokage lasted for over an hour. However, during this hour, the actions of all Konoha ninjas were extremely bizarre. The scene shifted. Jiraiya stood beside the carcass of a giant snake and clapped his hands. He looked up toward the Hokage building, where the four violet flames formation shimmered with a purple light under the sun. "Old man, don't die on me." After saying that, he just stood there, not moving a muscle. Inoki, what a line, "Old man, don't die." Saying it is as good as saying nothing, and leaving is like never having come in the first place. Kuratsuchi, Senior, are you serious? Year 60 of Konoha, Hokage office. Jiraiya rubbed the back of his head and coughed dryly twice. Old man, my future self probably had some kind of strategic considerations. Hiruzen Tsurutobi looked at Jiraiya with a complicated expression. Jiraiya, you just said one line, and that was it? Jiraiya scratched his cheek. Old man, what happens in the future has nothing to do with me right now. The image on the sky screen shifted. Kakashi and Guy stood in the spectator stands. Around them lay the corpses of 5 or 6 Otogeikure ninjas. Guy clapped his hands and looked up toward the building. Kakashi, something seems to have happened on the Sandame's end. Let's go support him. With that, he lifted his foot about to rush off. Kakashi reached out to stop him. We could just leave it to the Umbu. Hokage-sama won't kick the bucket so easily. After saying that, the two of them just stood in place. Fourth Reikage. They took out some small fry and then just watched the show for over an hour? Mei Terumi. So for over an hour, they just sat in the spectator stands? Watching their own Hokage get beaten up by a student? Inoki. To be fair, an old man in his 60s or 70s fighting someone head-on for over an hour. If it were me, I'd have collapsed long ago. Mei Terumi. Tsuchikage-sama. How old are you this year? Inoki. Don't ask me that. Year 48 of Konoha, Hokage office. Minato Namikaze stared at the sky screen. A battle lasting over an hour, and not a single person went to support him, his brow furrowed. Shikaku. What do you think is the reason for this? Nara Shikaku stood to the side, resting his chin on his fingers. Two possibilities. Either the Sandame gave an order forbidding any backup, Or he paused. Or the third Hokage's popularity is simply too terrible. Beneath the sky screen, Hiruzen Sarutobi was completely dumbfounded. He stared at the idle Konoha ninjas on the sky screen, his own people standing by and watching, his mind buzzing. "Are you kidding me?" His voice was hoarse, carrying an uncontrollable rage. A battle that went on for over an hour, and not a single person came to help. Am I, as the Hokage, really that pathetic? Meiterumi, wait, didn't the sky screen say earlier that the third Hokage is the strongest Hokage? In that case, fighting Orochimaru alone, it seems he wouldn't need support anyway. Fourth Reikage, I remember now. Isn't Sarutobi known as the strongest Hokage? He fought a battle for over an hour, and the whole village believed he was the strongest, so it actually makes sense that they didn't go help, doesn't it? Kuratsuchi, that makes sense. The Konoha villagers probably thought, Lord Sandaime is the strongest Hokage. What is Orochimaru compared to him? He can handle alone. Why should we go? Just to get in the way? Deidara. So that's how it is. The logic of the Konoha ninjas is that the third is the strongest, so there's no need to help. But what if he dies? Hiden. If he dies, it just means he wasn't strong enough. How could the strongest Hokage possibly die? Year 60 of Konoha on the streets. The villagers looked at the bullet screen comments and nodded in agreement one after another. Yeah, Lord Sandaime is the strongest Hokage. Wouldn't dealing with Orochimaru be a piece of cake? If we went up to help, we'd only be getting in Lord Sandaime's way. Exactly. Lord Sandaime alone is more than enough. Inside the Hokage office, Hiruzen Sarutobi's face turned from dark to red and from red to purple. The strongest Hokage. He gritted his teeth, squeezing out each word one by one. So they just watched this old man get beaten by Orochimaru for over an hour? Jiraiya couldn't help but burst into laughter. Old man, isn't this exactly the result of your usual propaganda? The strongest Hokage, the professor of shinobi, the hope of the entire village, everyone believed you and thought you could handle it on your own, so they didn't come to help you. Hiruzen Sarutobi opened his mouth, but in the end, only a single word escaped. Fuck. The sky screen image switched. Asuma had a cigarette in his mouth, standing in a forest outside Konoha village. Around him lay the corpses of 7 Otogekiura ninja, scattered about, their blood staining the grass red. He brushed the dust off his hands and exhaled a puff of smoke. Then, he leaned against a tree and didn't move again. The camera zoomed out. In the direction of the Hokage building, the 4 violet flames formation was still burning. Fourth Reikage, eh? His dad is up there being beaten by a group, and he's not going to help? Meiterumi, Asuma, your dad is fighting for his life, and you're slacking off? Is this the parent-child relationship in Konoha? Year 60 of Konoha, Team 10 training ground. The cigarette in Asuma's mouth dropped to the ground. He stared at himself leaning against the tree on the sky screen, completely stunned. I didn't go to help the old man. Ino Yamanaka stood to the side, tilting her head. Asuma-sensei, did you go to help Shikamaru? Akimichi Choji was eating potato chips, speaking indistinctly. But Shikamaru didn't seem to be in any danger at that time. Asuma opened his mouth, unable to speak. Nara Shikamaru had his hands in his pockets, expressionless. Asuma-sensei, you ran to save me, and then let your dad get beaten by Orochimaru on the roof for over an hour? Asuma's face darkened. The sky screen is talking about the future. It has nothing to do with me right now. The sky screen image switched. Kurenai Yuhi stood under a large tree. Standing next to her were Might Guy, Kakashi Hitaki, and Aoba Yamashiro. The 4 of them stood side by side, looking toward the Hokage building. The scene cut in. Yugao Yuzuki, leading several Umbu, was sprinting through the Konoha forest. When she reached a clearing, she stopped. Split up. Swoosh. Everyone went their separate ways. Magtirum. Are these Umbu going on an outing? Split up, and then each find a place to enjoy the scenery? Kuratsuchi. Since the war started, they've been running. Running until the war ends? Kakuzu. This is called a strategic withdrawal. Leave the battlefield to the third Hokage alone, and everyone else preserves their strength. Haiden, Kakuzu, are you serious? Kakuzu, I am analyzing the tactics. Haiden, you analyzed Jack Squat. Text appeared on the sky screen. The Hyuga clan, known as the strongest clan in Konoha, ran directly outside the village the moment the war started. You can barely see a single Hyuga clan ninja inside the village. Fourth Reikage. Strongest clan? Strongest fleeing clan, more like. Anoki, running out of the village as soon as the war starts. This is the first time I've seen such a move in all my decades of living. Mei Terumi, isn't the Hyuga clan deeply rooted in Konoha? How come they run faster than anyone else when a war starts? Kuratsuchi, I think I get it now. Konoha's survival rule. Let the third Hokage carry it, while everyone else watches from a safe place. Year 52 of Konoha, Hyuga clan grounds. Hayashi's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Our Hyuga clan ran out of the village? Hinata stood to the side, looking up at the sky screen. Dad, why don't we help in the future? Hayashi opened his mouth and said something he himself felt was absurd. Maybe it's because we believe the third Hokage can win. Then he laughed, amused by himself. He couldn't even keep a straight face after saying that. Text continued to appear on the sky screen. The Aburame clan didn't participate in the war at all. The Umbu ninja around the four Violet Flames formation were also ridiculous because they just kept guarding this barrier without moving at all. They were watching this barrier, just like they were watching the sky screen, explaining it whenever they saw a novel ninjutsu. The scene cut in. Outside the four Violet Flames formation, several Umbu wearing animal masks were crouching on the eaves. One of them pointed at the battle inside the formation. Oh, that's Edo Tensei. Shodai first, Sama's would release. The person next to him nodded. Impressive, impressive. Go third Hokage. Fourth Reikage. I give up. Is Konoha's Umbu made up of former commentators? Mei Terumi, Umbu watching the show, Hyuga running away, Aburame playing dead, Asuma leaving the city. Konoha is full of actors. Deidara, let me say a word for the third Hokage. Can you guys stop watching? Would it kill you to come up and help? Nara Shikamaru, it would. Helping might get you killed, but watching the show won't. Year 60 of Konoha, Hokage office. Hiruzen Sarutobi's face couldn't even be described as dark anymore. Umbu commentators? They were crouching on the side, watching me fight Orochimaru for over an hour, and they were providing commentary. The scene cut in. Inside the four Violet Flames formation, Senju Hashirama's would release surged from the ground, and giant trees grew on the roof. Senju Tobarama's water release turned into a water dragon, rushing toward the third Hokage with the momentum of a sea release. Outside the formation, two Umbu were crouching on the eaves. How much longer can the third Hokage hold on? I don't know. Let's keep watching. Fourth Reikage, you've already seen Shodai, first, Sama, and Tobarama, and you're still not going to help? Do you really think the third Hokage can win a 1-on-3? Anoki 1-on-3? The opponents are Shodai, first, Sama, and Tobarama, plus Orochimaru. That old guy, the third Hokage, holding on for over an hour is already a miracle. Kuratsuchi. If this were a Wagakure, we would have rushed up to help long ago. During the founding of Konoha, Senju Tobarama looked at the two Umbu on the sky screen, crouching on the eaves and providing commentary, his face turning green. The Umbu I invented were meant to carry out classified missions, not to be used as commentators. Senju Hashirama scratched his head. Tobarama, don't be angry. At least, they're still watching? They didn't run away. Senju Tobarama turned his head and glared at him. Brother, this is even more infuriating than running away. Text continued to float on the sky screen. Everyone just stayed idle like this until the war ended. The scene cut in. The four Violet Flames formation disappeared. Orochimaru jumped down from the roof and ran toward the outside of the village, followed closely by the Sound Four. The surrounding Umbu ninja saw this and jumped down from the eaves. They chased for a few steps. Then they stopped, watching Orochimaru's back as he walked further and further away. Fourth Reikage. Seriously? You're just letting him go like that? Inoki, Orochimaru killed your Hokage, and you only chased him for 2 steps? Just for show? Deidara, chase for 2 steps, throw 2 shuriken. This is called providing an explanation. We did our best, but we couldn't catch up. Kakuzu, this is called loss mitigation. The Hokage is already dead. Are you going to chase after him and get a few more elites killed? Haiden, Kakuzu, can you stop thinking about money for everything? Kakuzu, I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about the bounty. Orochimaru's bounty should be quite high. Year 60 of Konoha, Hokage office. Jiraiya patted Hiruzen's shoulder and sighed. Old man, after you die, these people won't even bother to pretend anymore. Hiruzen, Sarutobi, the sky screen image switched. The scene cut in. The Hidden Sand Village team walked out of the Konoha village gate. Behind them, Konoha ninja stood in a row. Kakashi Hitaki, Might Guy, Asuma, Kurenai, Yobinsho, and those Umbu. Everyone stood side by side, watching the team walk further and further away. 4th Reikage, A. Meitarumi, no way. Your Hokage was just killed, and you're standing at the village gate seeing off the murderer? The sky screen image continued. Once the team completely disappeared from view, the Konoha ninja finally turned around, slowly walking back to the village, walking to the side of the 3rd Hokage's corpse. Everyone gathered in a circle, looking down. The expressions seemed to be saying, "Dude, how did you die?" 4th Reikage, aped. Kuratsuchi, I can't help it. Ha 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 ha. Senju Hashirama. This kid Hiruzen, his popularity really isn't great. Uchiha Madara. Hashirama. This is what you call getting what you deserve. The reputation you spread yourself. Others just believed it. The screen shifts, and new text emerges. Does the Namikaze clan even exist? Silence. The entire ninja world fell silent once again. However, this silence was not due to shock, but confusion. The Namikaze clan? Does Konoha have such a clan? Text scrolled across the sky screen. Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, Konoha's yellow flash. No bloodline limit, no secret clan techniques, no tail beast. A standard 3-0 ordinary person by birth. Yet, it was such an ordinary person who accomplished an almost impossible feat. Seeing this, some of the bullet comment section couldn't hold back. Meitarumi, a 3-0 ordinary person? An ordinary person with nothing who managed to become the Hokage? Inoki, I've fought for half my life, and I've never seen such an absurdly ridiculous ordinary person. The text on the sky screen continued. He changed one thing. The red hair of the Uzumaki clan. The scene cut in. Kushina's vibrant red hair appeared on the sky screen. Then, the scene switched to Naruto. His head of blonde hair had absolutely nothing to do with Kushina's red hair. The red hair of the Uzumaki clan is not just a simple hair color. It is closely related to their chakra reserves. The more vibrant the color, the more abundant their chakra. The bullet comment section instantly exploded. Tsunade, the Uzumaki clan's constitution is indeed unique. Red hair is the symbol of their abundant chakra. The vitality of this clan is top tier even in the entire ninja world. Meitarumi. So, red hair represents the purity of the Uzumaki bloodline? Then why does Naruto have blonde hair? The sky screen continued. Uzumaki Kushina is a pure Uzumaki, her red hair as vibrant as fire, and her chakra reserves were terrifying enough to suppress the nine-tailed. Logically speaking, Naruto should have inherited Kushina's red hair. After all, the red hair of the Uzumaki clan is no ordinary genetic trait. It is directly linked to the bloodline of the sage. Yet, Naruto happens to have a head of blonde hair, taking after Minato. In Konoha village, Naruto looked down at his own golden hair, then up at the sky screen. So, there's something wrong with my hair color? Sakura thought for a moment beside him. Naruto, think about it carefully. Have you ever met a second person in the village with the last name Namikaze? Naruto froze, trying hard to recall. The surname Namikaze, it seemed like he had never heard of it again besides his dad. The text on the sky screen suddenly shifted. Now that things have come to this, there's only one truth. The only thing that could override the red hair inheritance of the Uzumaki clan is a bloodline even stronger than the Uzumakis. The text on the sky screen continued to advance. The Uzumaki clan are descendants of the sage. In the ninja world, several great bloodline clans are all related to the sage. A mortal's bloodline could absolutely never override the genetic traits of a sage's bloodline. Minato being able to make Naruto's hair take after his own golden color proves that his bloodline grade is above that of the Uzumaki clan. In Konoha village, Naruto was completely dumbfounded. Senju? My dad is from the Senju clan? Then doesn't that make me related to the first Hokage? Kakashi was silent for 2 seconds beside him, then said slowly, strictly speaking, Senju Hashirama voluntarily disbanded the Senju clan, and the clansmen changed their names and integrated into the ordinary populace of Konoha. Minato-sensei's parents never mentioned their family background, but if he indeed possessed the Senju bloodline. Kakashi didn't finish his sentence, but a flash of realization crossed his dead fish eyes. No wonder Minato-sensei's chakra reserves were so terrifying. The text on the sky screen continued. The Senju clan was voluntarily disbanded by the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. The clansmen changed their names and integrated into the ordinary populace of Konoha. Therefore, there's an extremely high probability that Minato originated from the Senju clan. Furthermore, the defining characteristic of the Senju clan is their massive chakra reserves. The scene cut in. A shot of Minato performing the Flying Thunder God on the battlefield flashed by. The flash traversed the battlefield as if entering an uninhabited territory. Kunai flew everywhere, and figures flashed all over the place. Despite how extremely chakra-consuming it was, the frequency with which the Flying Thunder God was used was simply unreasonable. Senju Hashirama ran rampant in the ninja world relying on his sage body, while Senju Tobirama developed countless forbidden techniques relying on his massive chakra. What about Minato? He used the Flying Thunder God at will, spammed the Rasengan effortlessly, and rarely ran out of chakra. This is not something that can be explained by the simple phrase prodigious talent. This is the power of bloodline. The bullet comment section had completely boiled over. Tsunade. The Senju clan's chakra reserves are universally recognized as the greatest in the ninja world. If Minato really is a descendant of the Senju, then his chakra reserves make perfect sense. Fourth Reikage, reasonable my ass. Does everyone in Konoha have to be related to the sage bloodline? Is it impossible for ordinary people to survive, or what? Anoki, the Reikage is right. I've worked hard my entire life, practicing dust release, yet you in Konoha just crush everyone with your bloodlines. Unfair. It's simply too unfair. Senju Tobirama. Senju Hashirama. Tobirama. Why are you sending ellipses? Did you already know about this? Senju Tobirama. Big brother, when you disbanded the Senju clan, did you even give the clansmen a heads up? You probably don't even know what surnames they changed to, do you? Senju Hashirama. Senju Tobirama. Big brother, as expected, you know absolutely nothing. Senju Hashirama. Tobirama, don't say that. The situation was urgent back then. The text on the sky screen continued. As for the issue of Minato's hair color, the Senju clan does not have a distinct hair color inheritance. The scene cut in. The appearances of various members of the Senju clan appeared on the sky screen one by one. Senju Hashirama, long black hair. Senju Tobirama, short white hair. Tsunade, light blonde. Hashirama has black hair, Tobirama has white hair, and Tsunade is straight up blonde. Thus, it is not surprising that Minato originated from the Senju, but has golden hair. Synthesizing the points above. First, Minato's chakra reserves far exceed those of ordinary shinobi, which aligns with the characteristic of the Senju clan's massive chakra reserves. Second, Minato's bloodline was able to override the red hair inheritance of the Uzumaki clan, indicating that his bloodline grade is superior to theirs. Third, the Senju clan has been disbanded, and its members changed their names to integrate into Konoha, making it completely logical for Minato to have originated from them. Fourth, The hair color of the Senju clan is not fixed, so Minato being blonde does not present a contradiction. Therefore, there is a high probability that the Namikaze clan does not exist. Minato Namikaze, highly likely a descendant of the Senju clan. Once this conclusion was drawn, everyone fell silent. Inoki, wait, if Minato is a descendant of the Senju, then doesn't Uzumaki Naruto possess the dual bloodlines of both the Senju and Uzumaki, on top of having the nine-tailed inside him? Fourth Reikage A. With this setup, once this kid grows up, his chakra reserves probably won't be inferior to the first Hokage's, right? Senju Hashirama. Haha. Tobirama, look. I told you dissolving the Senju clan was the right move. Look how outstanding our descendants are after integrating into Konoha. Senju Tobirama. In the 46th year of Konoha, Minato and Kushina remained silent for a long moment. Kushina spoke first. Minato, are you really from the Senju clan? Minato scratched his head, showing a somewhat helpless smile. I don't know either. My parents never mentioned any clan background. They just said we were ordinary Konoha villagers. The image on the sky screen shifted. If the third Hokage had let Orochimaru become Hokage back then, what would have happened to Konoha? Many people believe that if Orochimaru had become Hokage by Boruto's era, the villagers of Konoha would already be cyberbullying others online. Fourth Reikage A. Cyberbullying? What on earth is that? Magtiram. Bullying. Violence with a net? Do the villagers of Konoha have a new trick up their sleeves? Deidara. No. Can you guys speak in a language people can understand? The text on the sky screen continued to appear, but the reality is quite the opposite. The Third Shinobi World War caused massive losses to Konoha. Danzo took the opportunity to kick him while he was down, impeaching the third Hokage. Deeply guilt-ridden, the third Hokage agreed to appoint a new Hokage. However, Hiruzen and Danzo disagreed on the candidate for the new Hokage. The scene shifted. Conference room. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in the main seat, while Danzo Shimura stood opposite him, leaning on his cane. Hiruzen, it's time for you to step down. Danzo's voice was completely flat. With the war turning out like this, you cannot escape the blame. Hiruzen Sarutobi remained silent. The candidate for the new Hokage. Danzo interrupted him. Orochimaru. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up. No. The two stared at each other, neither backing down. The bullet chat section began to scroll. Fourth Reikage A. Danzo wanted Orochimaru to be Hokage. Has he lost his mind? Inoki. Orochimaru hadn't started human experimentation back then, right? At least not openly. Madarumi. Even if he hadn't, that cold and gloomy aura of his doesn't make him look like someone who could be Hokage. Kuratsuchi. Minato Namikaze is so bright and sunny. Why would Danzo choose Orochimaru? Orochimaru. Danzo did indeed approach me, but that was a long time ago. As for why he recommended me, in the 48th year of Konoha Hokage office, Minato Namikaze stared at the text on the sky screen and fell silent for a moment. If Orochimaru became Hokage, what would Konoha become like? The text on the sky screen continued to appear. But if the third Hokage had indeed agreed to let Orochimaru become Hokage, what kind of scene would Konoha be? First of all, if Orochimaru became Hokage, Konoha would definitely become a powerful military village. At this time, Orochimaru was single-mindedly pursuing power and immortality, practically a madman who had gone astray. For these terrifying purposes, he conducted a series of human experiments. Once he became Hokage, these experiments, which should have been kept hidden, could be conducted openly. The scene shifted. In the imagined scene, Orochimaru, wearing the Hokage cloak, stood on the roof of the Hokage building. And in the dark shadows behind him, there were rows of cultivation vats. Below, on the streets of Konoha Village, Umbu wearing animal masks were patrolling. But they weren't capturing enemies, they were capturing villagers. The scene shifted again. An underground laboratory. People were lying on rows of operating tables. There were ninja and civilians alike. Orochimaru stood in the center, holding a vial of green reagent. His smile split so wide it rivaled the slit-mouthed woman. Inoki, I always said Orochimaru wasn't cut out to be Hokage. He's cut out to be a lunatic. Mei Terumi, Konoha villagers being snatched off the streets for experiments? Would anyone still dare to live in that village? Kuratsuchi, a powerful military village? The only one getting stronger is Orochimaru himself. The villagers have all become expendable materials. In the 60th year of Konoha, the underground base of Odogaekure, Orochimaru looked at the imagined scene on the sky screen, stretching out his long tongue to lick his upper lip. The Hokage cloak. There was a hint of regret in his voice. If Danzo had one back then, perhaps I really would have worn it. Yakushi Kabuto stood to the side, pushing up his glasses. Lord Orochimaru, if you had become Hokage, your research funding would have been very abundant. Orochimaru smiled. More than just funding, the resources of the entire village could have been used for research. He looked at his other self, standing in front of the cultivation vats on the sky screen, a trace of longing flashing in his eyes. What a pity. Hokage office. Hiruzen Sarutobi trembled all over as he looked at the image of Orochimaru wearing the Hokage cloak on the sky screen. I was absolutely not wrong in my choice. Jiraiya patted his shoulder. Old man, don't get worked up. You didn't choose him, and he didn't become Hokage. The large characters on the sky screen rolled once again. Orochimaru's research, such as the cursed seal and life-prolonging techniques like the living corpse reincarnation, as well as clones like Mitsuki who can use Sage Mode, including the S-rank forbidden jutsu, Edo Tensei, which might have been officially deployed in combat on a large scale. With these, Konoha could definitely become the most powerful existence among the 5 great ninja villages. Iwagakure. Seeing these unfamiliar things, Inoki felt his legs go slightly weak. Inoki pushed Kitsuchi aside and paced back and forth with his hands behind his back. Konoha's foundation was too terrifying. Any rogue ninja who popped up could hold forbidden jutsu capable of overturning the balance of the ninja world. This information gap was like a blunt knife hanging over the heads of the other ninja villages. The text on the sky screen continued to output. You should know that back then, the second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, was able to keep Konoha undefeated in the First Shinobi World War using only the most rudimentary army of Edo Tensei. With Orochimaru's frantic research, many terrifying ninjutsu would be perfected. There might even be a clone army capable of entering Cursed Seal mode or Sage mode. Under his rule, Konoha would definitely be an incredibly terrifying existence. The border forest of the Land of Lightning. Senju Tobirama leaned against a tree trunk, his arms crossed over his chest. The young Hiruzen Sarutobi turned to look at his teacher. Teacher Tobirama, does Edo Tensei really have that much power? Senju Tobirama did not answer directly, only spitting out a cold sentence. The jutsu I invented is naturally a powerful weapon on the battlefield. However, for a junior like Orochimaru to actually perfect my jutsu to this extent, the bullet chat section was flooded once again. Fourth Reikage, hey, Senju Tobirama. Is that the kind of underhanded trick you used to fight wars back then? Inoki, rudimentary Edo Tensei kept them undefeated. Orochimaru's perfected Edo Tensei combined with a clone army. Hidden Cloud Village. Cold sweat poured down his back. These research-obsessed madmen never play by the rules. The text on the sky screen appeared. But as everyone knows, Orochimaru is not a sunny person. At this time, Orochimaru had Danzo backing him. He himself was also someone who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. The two of them would recklessly kill anyone who stood in the way of their pursuit of power. In the past, that old bastard Danzo even sent the Root organization to assassinate the third Hokage just to seize the position of Hokage. But if Orochimaru had become Hokage, Danzo would definitely have to die. The underground base of Odogaekure. Orochimaru looked at the image on the sky screen and let out a low chuckle. Yakushi Kabuto stood to the side, pushing up his glasses. Lord Orochimaru. It seems that if you had become Hokage, the first person you would have dealt with would be Lord Danzo. Orochimaru turned around and walked toward the rows of cultivation vats. A man like Danzo is only fit to be a stepping stone. If he were truly allowed to stand on equal footing with me, he would only interfere with my research. The underground base of Root. Danzo curled his lip in disdain, not at all surprised by Orochimaru's tendency to discard people once they had served their purpose. If he were the one who became Hokage, and if Orochimaru were still in the village, he would also have eliminated this person who knew all his secrets. The sky screen text continued. The ninjas in the village would have to worry every day about whether they would become test subjects for terrifying human experiments. The members of the Uchiha clan would have even more reason to be afraid. Their eyes might be taken by Orochimaru for research any day. The Uchiha clan was in dead silence. Why does it seem like whoever becomes Hokage wants to target the Uchiha? Streets of Konoha village. Villagers were so scared their legs went weak, collapsing to the ground one after another. Using us for experiments. If Orochimaru becomes Hokage, we won't even be able to save our lives. The text on the sky screen continued to output. By then, Konoha village will surely be filled with panic and suspicion. The people in the village will only dare to be angry, but not dare to speak out. The will of might will only be severely suppressed in the face of tyranny. Konoha is very likely to become the second village of the Bloody Mist. Hidden Mist Village. Mei Terumi stood up, her hands pressed against the desk. Village of the Bloody Mist? Konoha actually dares to steal our Hidden Mist title. Ao stood to the side, his brain unable to process this sentence for a moment. No, Mizuki-sama, is there any need to fight over this title? The sky screen image switched, and text appeared. How did the wives of the successive Hokage marry them? Fourth Reikage, hey, is this sky screen broken? After finishing the review of the Hokage, now it's starting to dig into people's wives? Anoki, I have no interest in how the Konoha Hokage marry their wives. It would be better to release more intelligence. Mei Terumi, I'm actually quite interested. On the streets of Konoha village, the commoners who were originally immersed in the darkness of Orochimaru ruling the village all raised their heads. Gossip is human instinct, and the private lives of the Hokage are enough to divert everyone's attention. The whispers on the streets and alleys gradually converged into a buzzing wave of sound. The sky screen text changed. First Hokage's wife. Uzumaki Mito. The initial reason Uzumaki Mito was able to marry Hashirama was that Hashirama needed to consolidate the rear and stabilize Konoha's allies. Later on, because the physique and sealing technique strength of the Uzumaki clan were known throughout the ninja world, Mito took the initiative to become the first Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. The marriage between Hashirama and Mito was mostly for the purpose of an alliance with the Uzumaki clan. However, the love of the older generation was probably like this. If you want to marry the first Hokage, the threshold is a bit high. Kuratsuchi. With this threshold, ordinary people can't even touch the doorframe. Okay. Mei Terumi. An alliance? As the Mizukage, it seems I also have to consider family forces. During the founding period of Konoha, Hashirama turned his head to look at the red-haired woman beside him. Uzumaki Mito snorted and turned her face away. Mito, don't listen to the sky screen's nonsense. We have true feelings between us. Hashirama waved his hands repeatedly. The sky screen text flashed by. Second Hokage. Still unmarried to this day, seeing this, Hashirama seemed to have finally found an outlet. Hashirama, Tobarama, look at you. You're not young anymore. Why don't you find a wife? Forest on the border of the land of lightning. Tobarama stared at the sky screen, veins throbbing on his forehead. Tobarama, women will only affect the speed of my hand seals. Big brother, take care of yourself. The sky screen image cut in. Third Hokage's wife, Bawako Saratobi, might just be an ordinary person. On the night she was delivering Kushina's baby, she was killed at will by the intruding Uchiha Bito, without even the slightest power to resist. The only explanation for the third Hokage marrying an ordinary person as his wife is that Bawako was his childhood sweetheart whom he had known since he was a child. Year 60 of Konoha, Hokage office. Hiruzen Sarutobi closed his eyes, and the woman who had accompanied him for most of his life appeared in his mind. Bawako was indeed his childhood sweetheart. She married him when he was not yet Hokage. Those plain days of the past have now become the deepest thorn in his heart. Mei Terumi, the feelings of childhood sweethearts are quite enviable. The sky screen text switched. Fourth Hokage's wife. Kushina for Kushina. It wasn't that she had good taste, but that Minato Namikaze had taken a fancy to her first. The sky screen image lit up. In a classroom at the Ninja Academy in Konoha. Red-haired Kushina stood on the podium, pinching the corners of her clothes with both hands, and shouted loudly, I will definitely become the first female Hokage of this village. In the seats below, a young Minato Namikaze watched the red-haired girl on the podium with admiration. Such a self-introduction immediately attracted Minato's attention. Afterwards, Kushina defeated all her classmates, known as the Red-Hot Habanero. Such strength made Minato's heart flutter, and he had been silently watching over her. And Kushina's first impression of Minato was that he was a pretty-looking sissy. Entire ninja world. Fourth Reikage, ha ha ha. Minato Namikaze has today too. Sissy. Ha ha. Jiraiya. Ahem, Minato, you were indeed a bit too gentle back then. Konoha, Hokage office. Kushina squatted on the ground, burying her head in her knees. So embarrassing. The whole ninja world knows about this kind of thing. Until one day later, the Hidden Cloud Village sent spies to infiltrate Konoha and kidnap Kushina. The light and shadow of the sky screen changed, and the image appeared. The night was heavy. Several masked ninjas were carrying a red-haired girl and shuttling through the forest. In a place they couldn't see, Kushina kept pulling out strands of her red hair and dropping them into the grass. The screen switched, and the figure of Minato Namikaze flashed, a kunai piercing the night sky. Several Hidden Cloud ninjas didn't even have time to react before blood sprayed from their throats, and they collapsed into the pile of fallen leaves one after another. Minato put one arm around Kushina's waist, tipped his toes, and leaped onto the towering treetop. A full moon hung behind the two, and the night wind blew the corners of their clothes. The sky screen text appeared. After this night, Kushina became Minato's person, and in the end, she logically became the Hokage's woman. The entire ninja world was in an uproar. Inoki, these guys from the Hidden Cloud Village, they can't do anything right, but they're number one at kidnapping women. Mei Terumi, and they kidnapped the wives of the Hokage. Last time, it was the 7th Hokage's wife, Hinata, and this time it's the 4th Hokage's wife, Kushina. Deidara, Uncle Reikage, is your village targeting this father and son? Specializing in wholesale kidnapping? Kuratsuchi, the 4th Hokage played the hero saving the beauty, and the 7th probably did too. The Hidden Cloud Village is practically acting as a matchmaker for Konoha's Hokage. Hidden Cloud Village, Reikage building. 4th Reikage was furious, veins bulging on his forehead. These bastards, kidnapping a little girl? The face of our hidden cloud has been completely lost by these trash. Todai stepped back 2 steps and wiped his sweat. Reikage-sama, that was during the previous Reikage era. 4th Reikage turned his head to stare at Todai, his anger increasing instead of decreasing. That was still done by the hidden cloud. Now the entire ninja world is watching our joke. The text on the sky screen rolled, and a new title took over the light screen. 7th Hokage's wife. Hyuga Hinata's position as the Hokage's wife is universally acclaimed, and no one can shake it based on just 2 points. First, when Naruto was hated and isolated by everyone in his childhood, only Hinata liked him, cheered for him, worried for him, and was proud of him. Team 8 Training Ground. Having just woken up, Hinata's face flushed red again, and white steam rose from her head. Team 7 Training Ground. Naruto pointed at the sky screen and said, stumbling over his words, Hinata. has always liked me. You idiot. Sakura put her hands on her hips and scolded loudly. She was the only one in the village who didn't hate you, and you didn't notice at all. The text on the sky screen continued. Second, when Pain destroyed Konoha to capture Naruto, Hinata was the only one in the entire village who stood up. The screen suddenly lit up. Ruins, rubble, and broken wood were everywhere. Naruto lay flat on the ground, pinned down firmly to the stone slab by black iron rods. Pain stood in front of him, holding a black rod and aiming it at Naruto's vital spots. A petite figure descended from the sky, blocking the way in front of Naruto. Hyuga Hinata assumed the gentle fist stance, facing Pain directly. She took a step forward, raising her hands in a stance. The Omi used to always cry, always give up. It was Naruto-kun who led me onto the right path. I have always been chasing after Naruto-kun, always wanting to walk side by side with Naruto-kun. If it's to protect Naruto-kun, I wouldn't even fear death, because I love Naruto-kun the most. Meitarumi, treating a confession like last words with this little girl's resolve, who wouldn't be moved. Fourth Reikage, the Hyuga clan actually produced someone with such backbone. She's way better than those before who only knew how to run away. Senju Hashirama. This is the true will of fire. Did you see that, Madara? Senju Tobarama. Brother, the key point is that she was the only one in the entire village who stood up, or was everyone else? Hyuga clan compound. Hyuga Hayashi stood watching his daughter on the sky screen, who was blocking the enemy. The cowardly eldest daughter, who usually didn't even dare to speak loudly, and whom he regarded as a waste. At this moment, facing an enemy that even the Hokage could not defeat, she actually did not take a single step back. Hyuga Niji stood in the courtyard, looking up at the sky screen. The eldest daughter of the main house actually went to her death for an outsider. Is this her ninja way? Team 7 Training Ground. Naruto stared blankly at the girl on the sky screen who didn't even care about her own life for his sake. Hinata. He scratched his head, his heart suddenly racing, his chest feeling as if it had been struck by something. In the sky screen's footage, taking advantage of Pain's lack of preparedness, Hinata directly kicked and broke a black rod with her leg. Pain immediately snapped back to attention, blasting out an invisible repulsive force, sending Hinata flying backward. Naruto lay on the ground, watching this scene with his own eyes. After a fierce battle, Right then, Hinata, who had been blown away by Pain, stood up shakily. She was covered in blood, her left leg twisted unnaturally, but she still took a step forward. 1 step, 2 steps. Dragging her broken body, she walked to Naruto's side. Pain watched coldly, raising his hand as a new black rod slid out of his sleeve. Why do you still resist? Hinata ignored Pain. She bent down and grabbed the black rod embedded in Naruto's back with both hands. Hinata panted heavily, blood flowing from her forehead into her eyes. I never go back on my word, and I always move forward. This is my ninja way. Inoki, Konoha's will of fire, is actually embodied so vividly in a little girl. Meitarumi, dying for the one you love, that is true love. Aimezo envious, Sabsobota. Konoha Year 60. Team 8 Training Ground. Hinata had already fainted in Kurenai's arms. Inazuka Kiba and Shino Aburame exchanged a glance, both seeing shock on each other's faces. Their teammate, who usually stuttered when speaking, actually had such a crazy side hidden in her bones. The image on the sky screen froze on Hinata's blood-stained face, then shattered with a bang. Countless specks of light reorganized in the air, turning into a line of brand-new large characters. 8th Hokage's wife, Temari Land of Wind, Hidden Sand Village. Temari was walking on the streets of the village. Seeing the large characters on the sky screen, her foot slipped, and she almost face-planted into the sand. Me? Temari pointed at her own nose, her eyes wide. 8th Hokage's wife. Kinkaro leaned in, sizing up his elder sister. Temari, you're going to marry into Konoha? Baki stood to the side, stroking his chin. Konoha's 8th Hokage. Who was that again? All right, It seems to be that 7.5th Hokage. Fourth Reikage A. Konoha's Hokage really know how to choose. The fourth abducted someone from a land of whirlpools, the seventh abducted someone from the Hyuga, and the eighth straight up abducted the Kazekage's daughter. The text on the sky screen rolled rapidly, providing the answer. As for being able to become the eighth Hokage's wife, Temari herself must have been surprised, because she knows the personality of the eighth Hokage, Shikamaru, best. Shikamaru's life creed consists of only 3 words: afraid of trouble. The sky screen's footage lit up. The Chunin exams venue. Shikamaru stood in the center of the arena, facing Temari, who held her 3-star fan. Shikamaru formed hand signs, his shadow stretching across the ground, holding Temari firmly in place. Just when everyone thought Shikamaru was going to win, Shikamaru raised his right hand. I forfeit. The entire crowd went into an uproar. Temari froze on the spot, staring at him as if he were an idiot. Shikamaru scratched his head and yawned. I'm out of chakra, and besides, it's too troublesome. Meitarumi, this kid, actually forfeited when he had the absolute advantage. Inoki, it's not that he didn't want to fight. He calculated that he didn't have enough chakra and couldn't be bothered to drag it out. The text on the sky screen continued to flash. During the Chunin exams, Shikamaru didn't even want to become a Chunin. Yet because of this outstanding tactical mind, he became the only Chunin of his class to pass the exam. His life plan was extremely simple. Just be an ordinary ninja, make some ordinary money, marry a wife who is neither pretty nor ugly, have 2 children, the first a girl and the second a boy. When the daughter gets married and the son can stand on his own, retire from ninja work. Play shogi every day, living a peaceful and ordinary retirement. Konoha village streets. The villagers looked at this life plan, collectively speechless. This is a ninja's dream? That's way too ambitionless. Sunagakure. Temari clenched her fists. A wife who is neither pretty nor ugly? Temari gritted her teeth, laughing out of sheer anger. Is he saying I'm average? Kankuro shrank back a couple of steps, fearing he would be caught in his sister's wrath. Text appeared on the sky screen. It was precisely this calm and rational personality that made him actively forfeit when facing Temari. This composure of knowing when to advance and when to retreat left an indelible impression on Temari. Later, Sunagakure and Konoha reconciled. As representative ambassadors for both sides, the two had frequent contact. Over time, this man who was afraid of trouble ended up provoking the most troublesome woman in the entire ninja world. Konoha Village, Nara clan compound. Shikamaru covered his face, lying flat on the wooden floor. How troublesome! Shikaku patted his son's shoulder, speaking with deep meaning. Son, we men of the Nara family are destined to be controlled by strong-willed women. Your mother is a prime example. A roar came from the kitchen. Nara, Shikaku, who are you calling strong-willed? Shikaku shrank his neck, quickly picking up his teacup to pretend to drink water. Deidara, a man afraid of trouble marrying the most troublesome woman. Is this karma? Chiyo, a peaceful and ordinary life is what's real. This kid's taste is actually quite good. Temari is a pretty good person in reality. The light overhead suddenly dimmed, and then new text appeared. Konoha's cancers are not just Danzo Shimura, but rather, the screen lit up. Inside the Hokage office, Uchiha Koharu and Hamura Mitokado sat upright in their chairs. Both wore traditional kimonos, their eyes half closed, carrying an air of aloof superiority. At least Danzo takes the blame himself. These two have done absolutely nothing from start to finish, yet they let every single one of Konoha's darkest decisions pass smoothly. They are the Konoha advisors, Uchiha Koharu and Hamura Mitokado. A collective gasp echoed throughout the entire shinobi world. Is there no end to the list of Konoha people? With so many eccentrics coming out of Konoha, it's a miracle this village is still standing. Their luck is ridiculously tough. Inoki, this old man has long found those 2 old fogies eyesores. Turns out they're the most toxic ones. Meitarumi, doing absolutely nothing. This is a classic case of occupying a post without doing any work. The Konoha High Council meeting room. Uchiha Koharu and Hamura Midokado sat upright in their chairs, looking at each other, their facial muscles twitching simultaneously. Koharu slammed her palm onto the table. Nonsense. We have spent our entire lives planning and strategizing for the stability of Konoha. This sky screen is committing slander. We only made suggestions. The final decision-maker was always Hiruzen. Why are they labeling us as cancers? The sky screen's text continued to output mercilessly. Almost every time something major happened in Konoha, these two were present. They belonged to the same generation as Hiruzen Tsurutobi and Danzo Shimura, and were also members of the second Hokage, Tobarama's escort squad. But because their combat abilities were highly mediocre, they ultimately didn't become the ones charging onto the front lines, but instead became the ones sitting in the meeting room. And that's the problem. Sometimes, what truly affects a village is not the powerhouses on the battlefield, but those at the conference table who are only responsible for nodding their heads. Inoki, fighting a war and deciding how a war is fought are two completely different things. When amateurs guide professionals, of course Konoha is going to rot. Fourth Reikage, letting two useless trash who haven't risked their lives on the front lines and who knows how many years sit in the meeting room and order people around. The ninjas of Konoha died such unjust deaths. The streets of Konoha village. The villagers looked up, their voices filled with chatter. The Uchiha clan massacre, Orochimaru's human experimentation, standing by while the third died. Did they nod their approval to all of those? The sky screen text changed. When Tsunade first became Hokage, the advisor group made their first official appearance. At that time, the Akatsuki organization had begun to take action, and Naruto could be targeted at any moment. Koharu and Midokado Hamura opposed Tsunade's decision to continue sending Naruto on missions. In the scene, Koharu spoke first. Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, the village's highest secret and ultimate weapon. He must not take a single step outside the village. Midokado Hamura followed up. Exactly. If he is captured by the Akatsuki organization, the balance of power will be shattered. He must be kept under house arrest in the village, closely monitored by the Umbu. Tsunade slammed her hand on the table and retorted. Will keeping him locked up in the village make him safe? Gaara was in the safest place in Sunagakure, yet that didn't stop the Akatsuki organization from taking him away. Therefore, keeping Naruto on the move is not only better for his personal safety, but also a better choice for the village. Raza what? Gaara was captured inside Sunagakure. Fourth Reikage, A. The Akatsuki organization actually infiltrated Sunagakure directly and took the Ichibi Jinchuriki? Is Sunagakure's defense made of paper? Kankuro, is that organization called Akatsuki really that strong? The scene continued to unfold. Koharu and Midokado Hamura exchanged a glance, as if they had just exchanged a secret signal. If you insist on sending him out, fine. But Team 7 must take on a new member. Danzo has recommended someone who will take Sasuke's place. The sky screen text appeared. But what Danzo truly wanted to do was to take this opportunity to eliminate Sasuke. Fourth Reikage, after all that talk, these two old fogies are just giving Danzo a free pass under the guise of helping the village. Konoha's leadership has rotted to the core. Inoki, isn't this just working hand in glove? Tsunade is bearing the pressure in the front, while they stab her in the back. The Konoha village training ground. Sasuke clenched his fists, the killing intent in his heart almost materializing. Danzo Shimura, Uchiha Koharu, Hamura Midokado, all of you deserve to die. Kakashi looked at Sasuke, his heart filled with complex emotions. The political games of the higher-ups completely disregarded the lives of the ninjas below. Danzo wanted to kill Sasuke, and the advisor group actually gave him the green light. The Konoha High Council meeting room. Cold sweat drenched the backs of Uchiha Koharu and Hamura Midokado. What a joke. Although this hadn't happened yet, hadn't the sky screen already said before that the Uchiha clan was full of madmen? They only did that for the sake of Konoha. The advisor group rarely initiated anything, but as long as Danzo spoke up, they seemed to agree to everything. An even more glaring instance of this occurred later when Pain attacked Konoha. After Pain invaded, Tsunade immediately organized the defense. To protect the villagers, she dispersed her chakra throughout the entire village, ultimately exhausting her strength and falling into a coma. Incredibly, after Naruto defeated Pain, while Tsunade lay in a hospital bed and the entire village was just crawling out of the ruins, the very first thing these two advisors did was not self-reflection or disaster relief. Instead, they shifted the blame to Tsunade, claiming she was responsible for the devastating destruction of Konoha. Immediately after, they quickly nominated Danzo to become the acting Hokage. Fourth Reikage, ha ha ha. Konoha's leadership is truly an eye-opener. The one who risked her life on the front line lies in a hospital bed, while the ones slacking off in the back start grabbing credit and shifting blame. How truly, Inoki, power is indeed a fascinating thing. For their own self-interest, these few higher-ups of Konoha directly trampled the village's interests underfoot. This old man has certainly learned something. Mei Terumi, wanting power without doing a single shred of work. I can hear their calculating abacus clicking all the way from the land of water. I truly feel sorry for Konoha's frontline ninjas. Border of the land of lightning. Senju Tobarama was panting like an ox. Then he turned his head and glared at the few people behind him with blood-red eyes. The young Midokado Hamura and Uchiha Koharu huddled in the corner, trembling, not daring to even breathe loudly. The young Hiruzen Tsurutobi stood to the side, head lowered, not daring to provoke him. The sky screen image flickered again. Land of Iron, the snow-swept samurai bridge. Danzo gradually turned into a large tree, his face still etched with unwillingness. Later, after the 5 Kage summit ended, Danzo was killed. All his dirty laundry was completely exposed. He hoarded an arm full of Sharingan, and even attempted to use Kodoe Tsukumi to manipulate the 5 Kage summit. The comments section paused for a moment, then refreshed frantically. Madarumi what? He dared to manipulate the 5 Kage summit? Fourth Reikage, this old dog has lived long enough, daring to pull petty tricks under my nose. I really should have cleaved him with a lightning straight. Inoki, wait, the point is that Danzo was killed? Who did it? Kuratsuchi. Does this count as eliminating a scourge for the people? Konoha really should give a banner of commendation to whoever killed him. Konoha Training Ground. Sasuke stared at Danzo's corpse on the screen, his not-so-bright brain beginning to run at full speed. Who could it be? My future self? It must be. The scene cut back to the Konoha high-level meeting room. Uchiha Koharu and Midokado Hamura sat upright in their chairs, listening to the Umbu report Danzo's death and crimes. Uchiha Koharu picked up her teacup, a look of emotion on her face. What a pity! The more outstanding someone is, the sooner they depart. Midokado Hamura nodded slightly, echoing her sentiment. Konoha has lost an important pillar. No apology, no reflection. All the evils of so many years, treated as if they didn't exist. Fourth Reikage, outstanding. Hoarding Sharingan, manipulating the summit, assassinating the Hokage is called outstanding. Konoha's evaluation standards are truly unique. Inoki, I did the math. Hiruzen Tsurutobi is dead. Danzo is dead. These two old things are actually still alive? Mei Terumi, the average lifespan of a ninja isn't long to begin with. Aren't these two old geezers living 3 times longer than a normal ninja? The sky screen image turned again. Uchiha Koharu and Midokado Hamura found Kakashi. Kakashi, the village needs you. Take over as Hokage. Kakashi stood in front of the window, one hand in his pocket, not turning around. Before leaving, Midokado Hamura stopped and turned back to drop a sentence. Danzo was indeed an ambitious man, but everything he did was for the village. No matter what Danzo did, whether it was the clan annihilation or establishing the root organization, the advisor group will always use the phrase for the village to rationalize things for him. What Danzo did has already been mentioned. Can these things he did really be called for Konoha? weakening Konoha's overall strength? Then who is the one who truly bears the price of what they did in the end? It is the entirety of Konoha. Seeing this, the people of Konoha couldn't hold it together anymore. Ninja A for the village, causing the village to suffer a huge loss in combat power. This is also called for the village. Senju Tobarama. My face has been completely lost by these three idiots. Jiraiya. A single phrase for the village can wipe away all sins? Then what about those who died? Tsunade. These two old geezers, the first thing I'll do when I go back is strip them of their positions. Hiruzen Sarutobi. Yudatane Koharu Mito Kato Hamura. You have disappointed me too much. In the center of the light screen, the text switched. What if Konoha had no internal friction? If Konoha had no internal friction, then the other four ninja villages combined wouldn't be enough to fight Konoha. Iwagakure. Inoki was so angry at these words that his beard trembled. Arrogant. Konoha does indeed have a deep foundation, but do you really think the other four villages are made of mud? Without the god of shinobi and Uchiha Madara, on what basis can Konoha suppress the combined forces of the four great nations? AO. Konoha's attrition over these years is obvious to all. White Fan committed suicide. The fourth died in battle. Fighting the four great nations alone is pure nonsense. Raza. Konoha's prosperity is merely built on the exploitation of surrounding small countries. If a real fight breaks out, Sunagakure will never back down. Chio. Anyone can talk big. I want to see what Konoha uses to back up this claim. The sky screen text scrolled. This is not an empty statement. And the reason Konoha has the confidence to fight alone relies entirely on the following group of people. First of all, isn't double Kimui insidious enough? If Obito had chosen to return to the village after Rin Noara died, if Kakashi had returned the Mangekyo to Obito, then with both Mangekyo gathered, Obito would be directly invincible. One Kimui for intangibility, one Kamui for offense. With hacks, how can you lose? Inoki, double Kamui? Just a masked man alone could turn the ninja world upside down, fighting the fourth Hokage, controlling the Nine-Tailed to destroy Konoha. If he gathered both eyes, intangibility for survival plus long-range strangulation, who could hurt him at all? Fourth Reikage, no matter how fast my lightning release armor is, if I can't hit the physical body, it's useless. If this Uchiha Obito had stayed in Konoha, the four great nations would have no way to fight. Meitarumi. A single eye could control the hidden mist village like a toy. Double Eye Obito plus Kakashi with his talent fully unleashed. If these two teamed up, they would be a meat grinder on the battlefield. Inside the Kamui dimension, Obito watched this text, his thoughts beginning to stir. Currently, there is no hope of realizing the Eye of the Moon plan. What if both Mangekyo were gathered? The face of that silver-haired companion flashed through his mind. Then he shook his head. He was the one who personally gave the Sharingan to Kakashi back then. There is no reason to take back a gift that has already been given. The sky screen continued to output. And as for Kakashi, it goes without saying. For Kakashi, who is not of the Uchiha clan, the Sharingan is purely a burden, constantly draining his chakra. If Kakashi saw that Obito was still alive, resolved his inner knot, and was no longer burdened by the Sharingan, then his strength would not have stagnated for so long. With Kakashi's talent, it is not impossible for him to become a junior Minato Namikaze in the future. 48th year of Konoha Hokage office. Minato Namikaze watched the sky screen. He knew Kakashi's talent best, a peerless genius who created Chidori at the age of 12. If there were no burden of the Sharingan, plus the resolution of his inner knot, Kakashi's achievements would absolutely be limitless. The other villages in the ninja world were already sweating profusely seeing this. Just the first one, Obito, was already something they couldn't figure out how to fight. The sky screen continued, Minato Namikaze. Minato's flying thunder god determines his role, which is a free agent across the entire battlefield. In terms of attack power, he is indeed not the top, but in terms of mobility, no one can compare to him. He can appear at any position on the battlefield, support at any time, and leave after fighting. You never know when he will pop up from behind you. Other legendary figures might be just bragging, but Minato can really hit you with a Rasengan while you're eating or sleeping. Kumobikure. A's face turned black with fear as the scenes of being toyed with by Minato Namikaze on the battlefield years ago flooded his mind. If he had left a mark on him back then, wouldn't he have been able to kill him at any time? Deidara. This is too insidious. Run if you can't win, and come back to sneak attack at any time after running. This is too cheap. Suigetsu Hozuki. With this mobility, one person is an army. With monsters like this in Konoha, the four great nations are indeed not enough to fight. 48th year of Konoha. Minato watched the evaluation on the sky screen, scratched his hair, and gave a dry laugh. Hitting someone with a Rasengan while eating or sleeping, isn't this evaluation a bit too exaggerated? Although I don't seem to have used this move to. If Konoha had not experienced that tragic clan extermination, the Uchiha clan would still have 3 Kage-level powerhouses. These 3 are known as the Uchiha Trio. The sky screen provided a simulation. If Uchiha Fugaku had been tougher back then, relying on the deterrent power of the Mangekyo Sharingan, he could have completely suppressed the radicals within the Uchiha clan. As long as the Uchiha did not rebel, Shursui would not have needed to think about any Kotoeme Tsukumi plan, nor would have been forced by Danzo to jump off a cliff and commit suicide. If Shursui hadn't committed suicide, Uchiha Itachi wouldn't have embarked on that path of destroying his own clan. If these 3 appeared on the same stage, Konoha's battlefield dominance would reach an unprecedented height. The screen lit up. On a smoke-filled battlefield, tens of thousands of allied enemy ninja charged in an overwhelming tide. In front of the Konoha camp, 3 figures stood side by side. Uchiha Fugaku, Uchiha Shursui, and Uchiha Itachi. The 3 of them had their Mangekyo Sharingan spinning wildly. Boom! 300s of meters tall, complete body, Susanoo rose from the ground. One dark, one emerald green, one crimson. The 3 behemoths advanced side by side, swinging their massive chakra weapons. Mountain peaks were sliced in half, and the earth split open into abysses. The enemy's ninjutsu slammed into the armor of the Susanoo, not even leaving a scratch. With the 3 Susanoo standing firm, they were like a massive stroke of good fortune on the battlefield. Whoever they encountered would die. Anoki, how are we supposed to fight this? Raza, if you encounter them, just surrender. There's no way to fight this. Kuratsuchi, 3 mountains rolling over the battlefield like bulldozers. We wouldn't even be able to run away. Konoha Village, Uchiha clan grounds. All the Uchiha clansmen stared at the 3 invincible Susanoo on the sky screen, their eyes burning with fervor. They clearly yearned for such a scene. The sky screen's image shifted. Konoha's heritage goes far beyond this. Besides the Uchiha Trio, Konoha also has the veteran Iron Triangle. Konoha's yellow, gambling, and poison, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru. 4th Reikage, these 3 guys are indeed troublesome, but compared to those 3 Susanoo, they should be easier to deal with. Meitarumi. The reputation of the Sannin has been passed down in the ninja world for so many years. It's finally time to count them. The sky screen text continued to output. First, let's talk about Jiraiya, a direct disciple of Mount Miyaboku's Senjutsu. When he fights, he uses Senjutsu move after move, and every strike is the real deal. During the vacuum period before the Child of Prophecy grew up, his strength could be said to be Konoha's strongest combat power on the surface. In the scene, Jiraiya had 2 old toads sitting on his shoulders, and toad-like markings appeared on his face. Sage Art Gomen. A raging sea of fire mixed with boiling hot oil instantly engulfed everything in front of him. Deidara. This old man looks lecherous, but he's this fierce when he starts fighting? The sky screen text switched. Next, let's talk about Tsunade, the ninja world's #1 healer. As long as her chakra pool is sufficient, she can heal the entire village by herself. Creation Rebirth, Strength of 100 technique. I cannot decide whether we win or lose, but I can guarantee that you won't lose. The screen lit up. The diamond-shaped mark on Tsunade's forehead unlocked, and black markings spread across her entire body. A huge long sword sliced her in half at the waist, but after the screen accelerated, Tsunade's body quickly recovered to its original state. The other two are still within the range of human understanding. But Snake Annie is even more outrageous. Orochimaru, master of core technology. Jiraiya. Oh, Snake Annie? That guy Orochimaru turned into a woman. Odo-Geikure underground base. Orochimaru's lip-licking motion froze. What on earth is that guy Jiraiya getting so excited about? It's one thing that Orochimaru himself can't be killed, but he can also hire substitutes. Everyone summoned by Edo Tensei is a god-tier carry, and Edo Tensei can be continuously optimized. The more it's optimized, the more complete the strength the reincarnated person possesses from their lifetime. The most perverted part is that the Edo Tensei bodies are completely unkillable, and their chakra is also unlimited. Orochimaru alone can completely match the combat power of an entire village. The scene cut in. Orochimaru stood in an open space. He formed hand seals with both hands and slapped them onto the ground. Rumble. More than a dozen coffins engraved with first, second, third, fourth, and even the names of various village Kage arose from the ground. The coffin lids fell down. Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobarama, third Reikage, second Tsuchikage, second Mizukage. A row of god-tier carries stood neatly with their eyes closed. Fourth Reikage, third Reikage. My old man is in there too. Anoki, Mastermu. That bastard Orochimaru even dug up the grave of our second Tsuchikage. Meitarumi, Lord Second Mizukage has also been dug up. Just how many ancestral graves has this Orochimaru dug up? Iwagakure. Anoki floated in midair, pointing at the sky screen and cursing. Orochimaru, that lunatic. Fighting is fighting, but he digs up people's ancestors to fight for him. How is this even supposed to be fought? If I face Lord Second Tsuchikage on the battlefield, dare I even strike? Kitsuchi stood below, scratching his head. Father, even if Lord Mu stood still and let you hit him, your dust release wouldn't be able to kill an Edo Tensei body. Anoki backhanded Kitsuchi on the back of the head. Shut up. Do I need you to remind me? Konoha Village. The villagers watched the scene on the sky screen and swallowed their saliva. Orochimaru, one person matching the combat power of an entire village. If he brought these past Kage back to attack Konoha, what would Konoha use to block him? Odo-Geikure. Orochimaru looked at the row of coffins on the sky screen and let out a low chuckle. God-tier carry. That term is very fitting. It seems that the future me has perfected Edo Tensei to a very flawless state. Apart from those mentioned above, the civilian ninjas of Konoha are equally outrageous. Take this one for example, the openly known eternal genin of Konoha, Might Due. Konoha village streets. The villagers looked at each other, and whispers arose. Might Due, that thick-browed guy who always talks about youth and only runs around the village while doing handstands. He can't even break a simple genjutsu. He's just cannon fodder if he goes to the front lines. The sky screen lit up. A forest thick with fog. Young Might Guy, Shunui Ginma, and Ebisu were panting heavily, backs against each other. Surrounding them were 7 tall figures holding bizarrely shaped giant swords. The pride of the hidden mist village, the 7 ninja swordsmen. When Guy's team faced a desperate situation, Might Due appeared. In the image, Might Due stood in front of the 3 children, gave a thumbs up, and his teeth flashed with a bright light. Then he crossed his hands and exerted force suddenly. 8 gates formation, open. Might Due transformed into a ferocious beast, charging into the formation of the 7 swordsmen. After the battle, the 7 ninja swordsmen, who shook the ninja world, were kicked into a sorry state by a genin. Anoki, a Konoha genin can kill 4 elite jonin in one burst. Meitarumi, 7 elite jonin, and 4 are gone. The Hidden Mist Village's foundation was kicked away by a Konoha genin. Ao, Lord Mizukage, in the future, if we encounter a Konoha genin, let's just take a detour. Killing them is useless, and if we can't kill them, they just counterkill us. Hazuki Mangetsu. So the seniors were finished off by a genin. The text on the sky screen changed again. As the saying goes, father and son fight together. Dai's son, Might Guy, pushed the 8 gates to its peak. Guy's strength is universally recognized as reliable. Fast speed, high burst, high damage with the left hand, high damage with the right hand. After opening the 7th gate, Guy's strength is firmly in the upper echelon of Kage level, and his short-term burst power directly reaches Super Kage level. The bullet screen area paused for a moment. Kisame Hashigaki. High damage with the left hand, high damage with the right hand? What kind of evaluation is this? Is it pure violent crushing? Raza, 7th gate, is already Super Kage level. What does that make us 5 Kage? And when Guy opens the 8th gate, the gate of death, his power is infinitely close to the 6 paths Knight. Guy possesses the power to kill a 6 paths level powerhouse. For Guy, who has opened the 8 gates, Super Kage level is just a speed bump. He can even trade 1-for-1 with those above Super Kage level, the 6 paths level. The image suddenly lit up. A shattered battlefield, the earth reduced to scorched soil. Might Guy was burning with blood-red steam, his skin cracking, his whole body turning into a burning flame. Opposite him stood a man holding a black tin staff, floating in mid-air, exuding the pressure of a god. During the founding of Konoha, Uchiha Madara stared at the person in the image. He was all too familiar with that aura. That is me. 6 paths? In the future, I actually obtained this power. Senju Hashirama leaned over and patted Madara's back. Madara, the sky screen says that junior name Guy can kill you. Uchiha Madara slapped Hashirama's hand away and snorted coldly. Mere taijutsu, and you want to dance? In the image, Might Guy assumed a starting stance. The surrounding space began to distort violently, and even the ground collapsed inch by inch under the immense pressure. The red chakra turned into a roaring giant dragon. Might Guy instantly crossed 100 meters and kicked towards Uchiha Madara's chest. Space shattered under this kick, emitting a piercing sonic boom. Half of Uchiha Madara's body was kicked to pieces, and he flew backward. Dead silence. The entire ninja world stopped, even the wind. 4th Reikage A. The space distorted? Anoki kicked a 6 paths level body to pieces with one kick? Is this taijutsu something a human can pull off? Madarumi. Super Kage is a speed bump. The sky screen wasn't exaggerating. With his speed and power, we don't even have the qualifications to defend. Konoha usually lets this kind of monster wander around the village. Chiyo. Has Konoha's taijutsu developed to the point of killing gods? Konoha Village Training Ground. Might Guy stared blankly at himself on the sky screen, burning his life away, then looked at his own hands. Is this the climax of youth? Kakashi swallowed hard. He had always regarded Might Guy as his eternal rival, and the two had competed over 100 times. Now it seemed that if Might Guy really used this move, he could kick him out of the finale with 1 foot. The villagers of Konoha were collectively speechless. That guy who always shouts about youth is actually this monstrously strong. We usually mocked him for having something wrong with his brain. He wouldn't give us a kick, would he? Uzumaki Naruto. Guy-sensei is so cool. I want to learn this move too. Uchiha Sasuke. This kind of power doesn't need a bloodline limit. Can it be achieved purely by the body? The image on the sky screen froze on Might Guy's charred, fallen body, then dissipated into fragments. New text appeared. After seeing the peak of taijutsu, let's take a look at the peak of Konoha's swordsmanship. The White Fang of Konoha, Sakomo Hatake. The name White Fang resounded through all nations. He killed his way through the Second Great Ninja War with just a short blade emitting white light. His swordsmanship follows the ultimate path of one-hit kills. Let him attack from the flank and launch a sneak attack. Killing an elite jonin with 1 strike is absolutely no problem. The bullet screen area was surprisingly quiet for a few seconds. Anoki. After seeing those 2 monsters before, I suddenly feel that White Fang's record is quite normal. Madarumi. Yes, at least it's still within the realm of human understanding. Having finished taking stock of Konoha's foundation, let's change things up. Question: why are there so few missing nin in Kyomogakure? As soon as this question appeared, the entire shinobi world fell silent for a few seconds. Anoki, this really is strange. I've carefully recalled, and apart from those two bastards Kinkaku and Ginkaku who betrayed their masters and ancestors, Kyomogakure really hasn't produced any famous missing nin. Raza, it does seem so. Konoha has missing nin by the handful, but these brutes in Kyomogakure are actually able to keep their people under such tight control. Kyomogakure, Reikage Building. Fourth Reikage, it had his arms crossed and his chin held high. Nonsense. Everyone in our Kyomogakure is united as one. Who would want to become a missing nin? The text on the sky screen scrolled. Kyomogakure's reputation in the ninja world isn't actually very good. It was them who robbed the Uzumaki clan of Konoha, and it was them who robbed the Hyuga of their Byakugan. They're also the ones who use force to seize other people's territories everywhere. These things are very shameful to discuss in the open. A village that does such things is simply a thug. Madarumi, thugs, those two words summarize it perfectly. Kuratsuchi, isn't this just a bandit leader? They take whatever they set their eyes on. Fourth Kazekage Raza, kidnapping the eldest daughter of the main branch on the very night of signing a peace treaty. That act was truly despicable. The large characters on the sky screen continued to jump. But if you look at it from the perspective of a Kyomogakure villager, it's a different story. Robbing the Uzumaki and Hyuga clans allows them to breed offspring, indirectly increasing their own village's overall combat power. The seized territory and resources allow their own people to live better lives. Everything Kyomogakure does is to strengthen itself. Compared to Konoha, where top-tier combatants are forced into becoming missing nin and the higher-ups are constantly infighting, the villagers of Kyomogakure are indeed living quite well. Konoha village streets. Upon hearing this, the Konoha villagers were suddenly enlightened, as if they had just climbed over a wall. To rob others so that their own villagers can live better. Although the methods are despicable, they're truly seeking benefits for their own people. Look at our Konoha. They bring good things from outside into their home, while we throw away the good things from our home. The screen lit up. Let's look at the leadership style of Kyomogakure. From the first Reikage to the fourth Reikage, they all follow the same style. They don't act like high and mighty leaders. Instead, they act like big brothers who share both joys and sorrows with those below them. First, let's talk about the third Reikage. In the image, on a desolate Gobi desert, yellow sand filled the sky. The third Reikage was shirtless, his whole body wrapped in violent blue lightning. Behind him was the retreating main force of Kyomogakure. Directly in front of him were dense, endless numbers of a Wagakure ninja. Back then, to protect his subordinates as they retreated, the third Reikage chose to stay behind alone. He fought head-on against 10,000 ninja for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, he died from exhaustion. Kyomogakure, fourth Reikage, stared fixedly at the figure of his father falling on the sky screen. 2 lines of hot tears slid down his rugged cheeks. Dad, Killer Bee stood to the side, unusually silent, without rapping. Fourth Reikage, Dad, you are the eternal pride of Kyomogakure. Kakashi Hatake, facing 10,000 people alone for the sake of his subordinates. Is this the spirit of the Reikage? The text on the sky screen continued to scroll. Now let's talk about the fourth Reikage. He perfectly inherited his father's style. He is incredibly tough externally, but genuinely good to his own people. The fourth Reikage once lowered his head to beg Senju Tsunade for the sake of his subordinates. And those subordinates were just ordinary ninja. But as the Reikage, he was willing to lose face for these few small ninja. In terms of loyalty and righteousness, Kyomogakure is top tier. Konoha village streets. The villagers were completely speechless. Kyomogakure actually treats people like people? Is Kyomogakure still recruiting? I want to go to Kyomogakure. Therefore, Kyomogakure doesn't produce missing nin from the root. Benefits, sense of belonging, deterrence, all are in place. The motivation, desire, and feasibility of defecting are all completely blocked. Rashi, that's true. The treatment is good, and the boss is righteous. Who would be bored enough to become a missing nin? Konoha villager, a Hiruzen Sarutobi. Look at that rakeage. Hiruzen Sarutobi. Konoha's situation is complex. It cannot be generalized. The scene on the sky screen suddenly shifted. Of course, if you insist on running, it's not impossible. But you will find two dark-skinned jocks blocking the village gate. In the image, in front of the towering gate of Kumogakure, Fourth Raikage A and Killer B stood on the left and right. Behind them was a steep cliff towering into the clouds. A narrow passage was the only way out. The entire shinobi world fell silent for a moment. Datara. Haha. Dark skin jocks. This description is perfect. Haiden. My stomach hurts from laughing. So the reason there are few missing nin is because they get beaten to death before they even leave the village. Meitarumi. This anti-defection mechanism is truly simple, brutal, and effective. Kumogakure. Fourth Raikage A's face flushed red, and he pointed at the sky screen, roaring. What kind of ghost nickname is Dark Skin Jocks? Killer B leaned over and struck a strange pose. Big brother, this nickname is pretty cool. Yeah. Fourth Raikage backhanded a punch onto Killer B's head. Cool my ass. Shut up. The image on the sky screen zoomed out, the camera rising from the towering gate of Kumogakure, penetrating the thick cloud layer, revealing the entire landscape of the Land of Lightning to the entire shinobi world. Speaking of Kumogakure, we must mention its geographical location. The village stands deep in the sea of clouds, with layers of mountain peaks acting as their natural barrier. Because it is far from the battlegrounds of the fire, wind, and earth nations, it can avoid many wars, is unaffected by the outside world, and its military development is relatively free. In the long run, as long as Kumogakure keeps a low profile and develops, its combat power will surely be far ahead. In the image, endless, steep mountain peaks peer straight into the clouds. The buildings of Kumogakure were built against the mountains, and the only roads leading to the village were a few steep plank roads. Anoki. This geographical location is indeed a good place for a coward. Surrounded by mountains, large armies simply cannot deploy, and the cost of a direct assault is too high. A peasant from a certain country, but this place is full of rocks and clouds. It's hard to even grow some food. Anoki. That is true. These barbarians cannot be self-sufficient, which is why they run out all day to rob others of their resources. Robbing ninjutsu, robbing bloodline limits, robbing supplies.